It has been said before in the past that third time is a charm. And up against Rogue, reUnited are sure as hell going to hope that that is going to hold true today. Welcome back to the TakeOver 2. I'm Mitch Leslie here with Jason Kaplan, and we will be bringing you this grand final match. It's going to be a big one. The third time that these two teams have played over this tournament, and it's been a whitewash so far for Rogue, Jason. I mean, eUnited better hope that they've had something prepared in the process. Somehow in the back of their minds, while they've been playing the other games, hopefully they've been formulating a way to deal with the menace that is the French squad.
I sure as hell hope. I mean, considering they played against them in the winter bracket final and they got 3-0'd, and now we're in the grand finals, we obviously want to see a very exciting match between these two teams. I know Hayes actually was watching all the games of their coach, and he probably formulated something for them to go up against Rogan. Hopefully for their sake and for all of our sakes, they found maybe a weakness.
It's funny, I mean, looking at Hayes sitting downstairs as well, he was quite tense, and even hearing from Bishop earlier on as well, he said that coaching is far more tense than even playing in some of these situations. You know,
yeah.
It's hard to look on and not be able to do too much as well. I mean, timeouts is not a thing in Overwatch, really, you know what I mean? And the coach generally doesn't actually join in the booth on comms during the games. So they have to send off the teams and hope that they have everything that they need to execute on the particular plan. And of course, it's a fond farewell we bid to Cloud9 falling out of this tournament. It is going to be an all-European final. All-European final. Well, you know, I mean, yeah, okay. Fair enough. All European. Okay, so I saw something on Twitter. Valitaj was obviously making a joke as well, but he sort of said it's time for Rogue versus Budget Rogue in the grand final. Do you think that's a reasonable way to put it? You know, in terms of how that meme has been applied in the past.
I think so. I mean, Swoosh was on the couch earlier on. He said it's basically the two best dive teams in the Western world for Overwatch going head to head. And I mean, Rogue have had the chance, I think, to practice it more publicly. Obviously, going, I think it was like the 36-game win streak over North America, 37-game win streak before they did end up losing a match. And before Korea, I think eUnited definitely have a lot on their plate, though, because Rogue have been just ever so more clean and crisp when it comes to actually pulling off these dives and managing ultimates and such. I think eUnited do have a chance, but it's going to be a tough uphill battle for them.
And one thing that I'm really impressed about with Rogue as well is obviously they're aware that perhaps the level of competition in the grand scheme of things is not as high in an event like this as maybe as Apex as well. We're not dealing with these full Korean teams, these, you know, well-drilled, you know, individuals that are obviously playing at a very high level over an extended period of time. We've got some teams here that we haven't seen since Pit and haven't played LAN since DreamHack or, you know, even prior to that, right? But what impresses me about them is that they're actively going about not playing the same way they did in Korea. They're not going, oh, this is just an EU lane. We can just come back here, enroll them with the same style that we had. We had AKM on the couch earlier on, and he said, you know, we're really cognizant of how we have been maybe misusing our defensive and support ultimates in the past, and, you know, and how we've sort of been letting them go a little bit easily or frivolously using them or allowing them to be baited out a little bit too easy. Mm-hmm. He said on the mic, he said that, when we saw Hanamura being that last map where Rogue were very diligent in making sure that they were forcing ultimates out of eUnited because they knew they put eUnited in a position where they couldn't afford to take the risk not to expend a transcendence or a sound barrier in many of those cases. And they're really thinking about that now more than ever.
The thing is, when you're on the top of the world for Overwatch, everyone's going to look up to you. And when you're a team that runs dive comp in almost every single map and every single situation, teams who want to use dive comp, for instance, like eUnited, are going to be looking up to you, and they're going to know how you play it. They're going to know how you're playing it in every situation, and you're always going to have to be a team that adapts. And, you know, maybe Rogue, maybe it took them a little bit too long to realize that over in Korea, where they just kind of got rolled in their group. A little bit unfortunate for them. They had a very difficult group nonetheless, but you have to be a team if you want to be on the top, always changing, always adapting, always evolving. I'm curious, though, what's going to happen if we ever do see a switch from the dive meta, if they're going to actually switch to something else, and if they can play something else.
Honestly, I think that they might even tell you the same thing. At this point as well, you may as well go into the breach with everything you've got and try and make what you know work. Before we jump into the game, though, as well, I do have something a bit more fun to do. Of course, we've been sort of showing you guys a few of the things that you can sort of win by getting involved in our TakeOver raffle, and we do have a winner finally. The competition is over there as well. We have multiple winners for multiple prizes, but the most important one is the winner of the Predator G6 and the signed T-shirt as well. You can see that over in the bottom left-hand corner. Obviously, everyone's been signing that one over the last few days.
Hopefully, Bren's finally signed it. If you're hearing me, Bren, get on that, son, if you haven't.
Everyone make sure we'll get it done, don't worry, that's fine. I think we have a lower third to announce the winner. Is that how we're going to do it?
It is. Actually, the winner. Jason Kaplan. Oh, congratulations, me. I'm taking home a computer.
Drum roll, please. The winner is Elaid, at Elaid over on Twitter. That was obviously the only way I know what you wanted to do then. Congratulations to you. Thank you so much for being part of the giveaway. And of course, all the rest of the winners. I believe there are 10 other winners that are going to be winning the other goodies as well. Obviously, the Maxnomic Pro Series chair, the branded TakeOver 2-1, as well as the headsets from Sennheiser and the peripherals from Logitech. You guys will be contacted on Twitter. I assume as well, Elaid will also be contacted on Twitter. So if he's not watching, which I'd like to hope they are watching, and they'll know either way. So
I'd rather take a pillow to the face than a sausage to the face like last time.
Yeah, I know. We've had to tone it down a little bit this time, haven't we? That's the way it goes. You see, as the scene grows, we must grow up. Or at least pretend to for you guys. So, coming around the corner, sorry, I just heard something a bit funny in my ear, which is, not a surprise.
It's not very funny. The guy's usually not funny.
I have to say, though, as well, like, big shout out to the TakeOver production team as well. I really think we have a world-class team here. They make these events really special for all of us. They really look after us as well. We don't want to thank anyone until maybe the event's over and stuff, but much love to
until this happens and they completely make everything
I'm trying to be nice, boys. I'm trying to be nice. No, so thank you to those guys as well, and we're sure that this next match is going to go pretty darn awesome as well. Now, I don't understand one thing, Jason. One thing that's surprised me a little bit. Just one thing. I don't understand many things, but one thing that stood out to me was the fact that we saw eUnited choose Gibraltar against Rogue, like a map that obviously it's full escort, right? It's not a hybrid map, where they maybe could have taken something like a Route 66 or something different.
Right.
They chose Gibraltar into a team who honestly I feel is most at home on that map, and we saw what happened as a result. Do you think that's like an error in judgment, or why not Route 66? In fact, these guys way back were the first team that really started to popularize the use of the map.
I don't know in particular, actually. I'm thinking about back to when eUnited was known as reUnited. They were actually one of the best teams to watch playing Gibraltar. They were the first team to finish the map in like 3 minutes of time against NIP. I feel like maybe it's still a comfort pick for them, but I think coming into a second time, they're not going to be letting that happen again. They're going to probably switch things up and go Route 66, which they, again, have to adapt to the way Rogue can play on that map. And we've seen earlier on, they're not necessarily one of the strongest teams when it comes to that, but they're definitely not a weak team. I think there's going to be a lot of problems for them when it comes to the actual map choices, especially when we get to the control maps. 2CP or to Assault is something that eUnited should be very strong on, but Rogue could be on an entirely different level when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, I mean, we saw what happened on Control the first time these two teams went head-to-head. The first time in this whole tournament, actually, and it was, of course, a whitewash for Rogue. They were just all over that series. And the second time around wasn't much better. That's got to wear you down a little bit, you know. It's almost like, what can we bring out that's going to make a difference here?
I mean, to be fair to eUnited as well, they played the winner bracket final against Rogue, then they played the loser bracket final against Cloud9, and now they're playing the grand finals. So they're playing effectively almost 15 maps straight.
And they were scrimming this morning as well.
Exactly, yeah. So this is obviously a lot of Overwatch for them, but if they're not warmed up by now, then I don't think they'll ever be warmed up. And it looks like our first map here, Mitch, of the grand finals is going to be Nepal.
Yep, looks like both teams are ready, and we'll be jumping in just a moment. And again, eUnited better hope that they've got something else to bring to the table here in the grand final of the TakeOver 2. And we're going to jump in just a second. It's going to be an absolute cracker. We saw the Rogue guys dancing quite a lot before the game. It was, you know, you say what you like on Twitter. I know what all the 12-year-olds were saying, but they were definitely enjoying themselves quite a lot. They're feeling confident. In fact, they were dancing across the partition at eUnited. They were showing them that they're feeling very confident. They're showing them they're very laissez-faire, to try and butcher a French term about this game going ahead as well. They tried to get me involved in the dancing. It was awkward. I had to say no, of course. Definitely didn't dance.
Really? That's the first time I ever heard you say no to dancing. Yeah. But either way, let's take a look at maybe the actual rosters really quick before we jump into a game, or maybe just jump into a game either way, because we do want to kick this off. You can see Rogue. We got Soon, Unco, Wins, Noxe, Cam, and Nico. Inside of eUnited, of course, we have Mort, Boombox, Cruz, Sharik, Violetage, and Unfixed. This is going to be, hopefully, a cracker of a grand final.
Absolutely. Of course, Mort, Unfixed, Violetage, you know, complete consummate professionals in previous FPS titles. They came to Overwatch with a purpose, to be the champions. And so far, they have not yet reached that goal. Not under Fnatic, not under reUnited, and not yet under eUnited. Rogue, by name, had the only team, of course, that won. They won the TakeOver #1 as well. So it might be a clean sweep again for the name, for this team, the majority French roster, to come out swinging here. We're going to be jumping in, of course, but it looks like Village in just a moment. Let's get this one started, Jason Kaplan's going to be eUnited in the blue and Rogue in the red.
We're seeing Cruz going to be playing the Diva here, not going to be going for the Genji v Genji matchup between Nico and him. It looks like both Divas just trying to mitigate as much damage as they possibly can here early on. They pop this defense matrix up, but soon immediately try to go into the backline, try to punish on the boombox. They know how effective this man can be, as we just saw in the match prior against Cloud9. They want to make sure to eliminate him.
It's a war of attrition right now. Fairly respectful poking between these two teams as they work the high ground. Valutaja managed to get himself in the back line here, so this might give a little bit of cause for concern for Rogue. Maybe this needs to be addressed here. The point is now available for capture, but Valutaja stays around a little bit too long, and this should give the advantage in this fight. Now Rogue know they have a green light to go ahead, and that's another nice shot there as well. Unco cleans up Unfixed, and it's a landslide for the Frenchman. They're going to have the first fight and the first point take.
And Unco was about to have his tack visor up too, which could have changed the tides of that fight if he was maybe able to get it off. But looking into the next fight, Unco, Boombox both getting extremely close, picking up their Transcendence, as well as wins and more, pretty much matched in terms of ult percent. Soon used a pulse bomb in that last fight, already charged up towards his second, but you can see them trying to maintain the high ground control. eUnited going to be looking to push in from main with Demon the Winston. They're trying to actually take them off this position, but we're going to see the Transcendence pop. We're seeing the Nano Visor, or the Visor being used out of ACAM, but no kills at all.
Yeah, that's a 2-for-1 ultimate trade there. It actually kind of works in eUnited's favor. Now they can go for a later sound barrier and try to do something with it. Cruz has found Nox early on. You can see Unfixed is sticking mostly towards the backlines, but now they're going to make some moves forward. He's found Unco. Beautiful stuff from eUnited. Rogue, again, one of the issues they often have is the frivolous use of those ults to start the fight. They sound barrier attack visor. It was completely blocked out by the Transcendence, and then eUnited could come back in with their own brand of murder.
So eUnited, I think they pulled Nox a little bit too far. They got him really aggressive, and because they're able to pick up that kill, the problem was for eUnited, it's very hard to fight that uphill battle when you don't have any high ground control. You saw them send out Cruz, you saw them send out Shark initially to get that high ground position, but with them two alone, without having it maybe a Genji or Valu in a position to back that up, there was no way they were going to win that fight. So they get Nox confident, they get him aggressive, they pick up that kill, and they just win the fight 6v5.
Unco very low. He actually drops at the start of this fight. He's well picked off. Sharik is causing havoc in the backline. AKM and Unco always joined at the hip. This time, of course, they're going to be falling together. Rogue down to 4 players. I'll make that 3 because Cruz can just jump on towards the point. And this is much improved from eUnited. They are finding the weaknesses of Rogue and capitalizing on the errors the French side is making so far in the pool.
And look at the ult difference we have between Boombox and Unco. Going to be so crucial coming into these next fights for eUnited to just snowball this initial point here on Village, because Boombox was able to stay live. He's now at 75% on his ultimate. Really soon's going to be the one contesting the point initially here, but Unfixed already being pressured out, being shoved away from the fight. And Shark going to be looking for that 1v1 against Unco, able to knock him away, and just by himself up against him and AKM, he's able to keep them out of the fight entirely, giving eUnited such an easy position.
Yeah, it's traded out, but Shriek does so much work there in the backline. Now the Transcendence being used here again by Boombox. I don't really know who's going to be benefiting from that. Maybe he just wanted to try and speed himself up towards the point and help the stall effort, because no one really benefited from that healing. Attack visor from AKM, but Unfixed shuts him down. He doesn't care about the aimbot. He's got himself a Helix rocket.
Now Cruz looking to actually solidify a couple of kills here. They're still looking for Wins, who has a sound barrier up, but does he have enough people next to him to pop this one off to make sure they can take this point back? But they're investing in Transcendence. They sure as hell want to take this point, but Wins is still being focused down. They know he has a sound barrier, but they're not able to force him to use it.
Now Cruz now is forced to do a bit of a stall here, but this is okay. It's okay for eUnited. They're going to have about 90% at this stage. Extra stalls going on now. I think Cruz threw himself on towards that point, but that's going to be it. 92 to 42. Now look at the ultimates. Both teams have sound barriers here. Neither team will have a Transcendence for this next fight. So if either can force that one out, get themselves a positive, I guess tempo trade in terms of those support ults, they can work from there. This is where Rogue needs to be at their most vigilant.
The thing is, there's no Genjis in this game either, so it's not like the sound barrier is going to be used to mitigate that. It's used to mitigate a lot of extra damage coming from these tracers, which ACAM picking up a kill to Boombox will give Rogue the man advantage. And I imagine eUnited just going to back away, realizing they still have a chance to regroup, they still have a chance to force a fight. And they also don't want to feed over ult percent, especially over to Unco, who can mitigate everything they have to throw.
Those picks can't be happening, by the way. Cruz's biggest job is actually to protect Boombox and allow him to do that incredible damage that he's capable of through the defense matrix. Sound barrier comes out for both teams. They're going to match it at the same time. Boombox, it looks like, didn't actually benefit from it here, looking at his health bar. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Maybe he was late to the party, but Unfixed has started off well. Sharik is not far behind. Tack visor, though, that's beautiful stuff. Unfixed saved the best for last, and he gets the kill. He even found Wins just after. This is huge stuff coming out from the Russian player now, and his aggression on the point is favouring eUnited. They're going to take it just in time, mind you, as overtime has come through. Rogue must throw themselves into the abyss here. I don't even know if they're close enough, Jason. They've got 3 seconds left. The self-destruct comes out in front. AKM gets picked off by Boombox. That's big, and eUnited have made a statement to start this one off.
And Cruz laying down that self-destruct out in the open to stop them from actually pushing through, forcing if Soon had any chance at all.
Let's go, boys.
to charge in, having to use all blinks. And I don't see any dancing going on the side of Rogue this time.
No, you see that as well from Mort. He's like, come on, boys, we're ready for you. That's a good start. It's going to take a heck of a lot more than that, but eUnited are at least on the correct trajectory going forward. Now on Shrine, sorry, it's Sanctum, I think, by the looks of things, yeah. We may see a bit more of that Genji play.
So you pointed out earlier, Mitch, that Rogue became very aware that they were misusing support ultimates and not using them to the most efficient way. We did see there on the first point of Village that they actually were a lot more aware and they were being very careful. But coming into now Sanctum, this is where we're going to find out if they keep that going under the pressure that's going to be coming their way out of Cruz. They have to be able to have a Transcendence up, or at least know when Cruz has the ability to go in. And likewise, Mort's going to be able to, or has to know and monitor when Rogue's going to have support ultimates up to defend against Cruz.
The Divas have been dispensed with, at least for now. It's both teams going back to maybe their more favoured compositions, and Sharik as well going to mark his territory before he decides to make a foray and leave home soil. He is being just harassed down a little bit, but Nox is very low elsewhere on the map, actually. Nico found Cruz early on in this one, and Sharik, he's outmatched for the moment, but he's quickly backed up by his teammates there. Nico's out in the open. He can't climb back from that one here. Rogue actually a very shaky start to that fight. And now it's going to be Sharik just trying to put more pressure on, and there's nowhere Unco could go.
I just love that way eUnited are playing their dive comp, though. I mean, you saw Sharik, they're sitting to the side. He wasn't taking any chip damage because they wanted Rogue to engage. And once they did, you saw ACAM push up into the face of Sharik, where eventually he just got bursted down. So they get Rogue really confident, they make them overcommit again, and then they just attack. They pounce on them, and they're able to take the first fight and get this first percent building up.
eUnited, there's some momentum being carried into this game. It can't be denied, and Rogue have now definitely shut their traps and have started to focus a little bit more on the job at hand. On the point, though, Rogue have set themselves up, so they're trying to take this away. eUnited have stepped off the point voluntarily. Now they need to do something about Nox. They've dealt with him. Now they can keep pushing forward. Mort's done very, very well holding down the fort on his own. He found Unco, and now the rest of his team can join him and maintain control of this point.
A good focus out of Cruz and Boombox together, even Unfix, just to focus Nox down. They know they're going to commit him. They know that they want to kill Boombox, take away Transcendence. They also want to eliminate the damage that this man can do. And when he jumps in, they all three collapse and just pick him off. And then, you know, honestly, if the rest of United to be able to stay alive while Nox is diving and the rest of the team's attacking them towards the front is fantastic.
Rogue are going to have two defensive ultimates for this fight. Winds and Sound Barrier, of course, and the Transcendence will be present. So we'll have to see if Mort can get to that point. It might be favorable time. But Boombox has picked off AKM early yet again. This guy is an assassin from the back lines. Unbelievable stuff. That stops Rogue in their tracks, and it's an extra 10 to 15% for eUnited on this hold.
Not to mention it buys Mort a little bit of time to build up the Sound Barrier. He was only about 85%, now up to about 97. He's going to have this up to use. Unco already very low on HP as they force out the Sound Barrier, but Unco doesn't get touched with it.
Yep, now it's going to be the Transcendence as well coming out from here as well. Unfixed as well through the fight. Soon's going to go down early on, and again, eUnited are holding strong. Nico goes over the edge by the looks of things here, and Nox has to follow suit. The Sound Barrier was committed there to no avail. Mort also used his, though, and Boombox had to use his Transcendence. So the trade in defensive ults was good for Rogue, but they don't have much time left.
I want to watch Fowler's position here and his point of view to see what he does, because if he can kill Unco, if he can assassinate him, this is 100% a one fight for eUnited, where Cruz is going to use his Dragon Blade and shut them down. You can see him just come in. He looks for AKM, he can't connect. The last fight's breaking off.
That could have messed up there as well. It may go against eUnited, and it does. The Pulse Bomb could have changed everything, but this time it's Soon and Nico. They're in the front lines. They're paving the way and getting the damage done, and they've done admirably at that. However, still in overtime here. You see that Nico, Unco, of course, going down there, using that Transcendence in that last fight. Rogue can at least bring things back a little bit here, and do note there's a Dragon Blade present for Cruz, and there's no Transcendence for Unco.
Exactly.
A big opening for eUnited now to take this back and be done with this round.
Cruz was so patient just to hold on to this one. It comes down to AKM because he's going to be focused down by Cruz. If somehow eUnited can shut him down or make this Visor do absolutely nothing, then this is going to eliminate Rogue's chance.
Oh,
and he goes down immediately. Cruz!
Beautiful! Cruz stands atop and plats the sword into the soil. It's Excalibur, but he's taking it for himself. 4 kills. That's going to turn things around. Rogue got completely whitewashed in that fight, and it's all off the back of the young Brit with the Dragon Blade. Beautiful stuff. What a great opening here. A little bit more overtime, of course. There's some stall coming out here. Takvars are up towards the side. That's AKM actually bringing his to bear. He's found Sharik. This might not be over, Jason.
Yeah, Soon on a sliver of HP by AKM with him going down, with somehow Soon stalling out the point. It's going to allow him to get this Takvisor off and do so much damage. Unco does take down Unfix's. Cruz is getting around the point. That Transcendence can be popped. eUnited do not want to let this point go. They want to end it here.
Big stall. Boombox finds Soon as soon as he comes out of the Transcendence. That's massive stuff. Eventually, Cruz is going to drop there to Nox and Nico, and Rogue bring it back. They are not taking this lying down.
But now, because Boombox used Trance in that last fight, he's not going to have it up where Nico has his blade ready to go. This could be a complete turnaround. Rogue trying to time their ultimates correctly. They have wins as well, about to get a sound barrier up. This could be their game. They could actually win this map.
eUnited have to draw out these ultimates. They have to pressure these support ultimates in this fight. They don't have those to match, and that's a terrible start. Valutage is caught out by Nico.
Every time you lose a fight like this, you just lose a single man. You're delaying yourselves another 20 seconds, another 20%, and you turn your 2-fight potential chance into 1. Nico just looking to get a little bit aggressive here, trying to keep them back for now. Valu is going to have that pulse bomb up, so they have the opportunity to assassinate Unko, but I think the way Unko's playing with how safe he is right here, it's going to be very difficult to get to him, especially when you have Wins protecting him.
Yeah, look at that damage as well, coming straight on towards Tariq, and it's actually forced the Transcendence out. So this is kind of what eUnited were looking for. As long as they don't commit too much to this fight, and they don't. They lost the fight, but they kind of won it in that way.
Yeah, Rogue jumped the gun with the Transcendence because Unko actually wasn't really focused on it. He got jumped on by Sherrick, but that was it. So 85% here, Mitch. We do not have Cruz with the Dragon Blade, but they still have the Tac Visor, and there's no Diva to be seen. We're going to have Wins pop out the sound barrier to use to counter out on that one, but Valu has the opportunity to use this pulse bomb to shut something down.
Mord has a sound barrier now as well, so eUnited have this is as good as it's going to get for both of these teams. It's go time, and both of them use those sound barriers very early on. AKM is being chased down. It's attack visor on the point for unfixed, but Rogue is nowhere to be seen. They've disengaged quite nicely at the start of the fight. Now they're bringing it back. Beautiful. That's poetry in motion, Jason. Rogue made themselves scarce at just the right time, and then they burst back in. It's like a sapling that bends but doesn't break in the breeze. It snaps back, and it's going to be sending eUnited now into yet another round. There wasn't time. No time for any more stall. And Rogue fire back across the partition. It's 1-1.
You saw Unfixed there trying to use that Tac Visor to zone them away from the point, hoping to capture out onto that one. But as you said, Rogue just backed away. They waited that one out. They knew they could afford to give up the position on the point because they could just retake it right after with their own ultimates. And eUnited maybe just jumped the gun a little bit too early.
What's so impressive about that is that how high stakes the situation is. If you spend too much time hiding away from these ultimates and not sort of facing the music, then you could just lose the point. You could lose a round right there, or you could lose a player or any sort of advantage there. So that is, yeah, by very slim margins. But Rogue dot their I's, they cross their T's, they sign and seal that round.
So we're going to be seeing some mirror comps here out of both teams. Still no divas. Probably going to see that we going back to Village, but let's see where AKM and Unfixed are actually in position, because jockeying for that early elephant control can give you so much advantage around the actual control point. But you can see Boombox pretty much separated from his entire team here, already being focused out with the Helix Rockets catching him.
Yeah, he stepped out into that one.
They're not going to have a Discord, they're not going to have a Orb of Harmony, and this should ideally be a fight that Rogue wins just because of the positioning alone.
And Boombox was playing peripherally to the rest of eUnited there as well. He wasn't necessarily with them. He's trying to, they were using him to try and control that part of the map. That's a big investment and quite a risky one when he uses Zenyatta for it. If the play is good, you can do it. But Valutage is not done here. He's trying to get the finish on Unko, but he's forced into a premature recall, and eUnited now have to accept that they need to step back. Almost another pick there, but almost is not enough when the stakes are so high.
Oh, Nox might have actually overcommitted into this. So it'll be fine for now, able to back away, but they did lose. I believe that was on to Wins, if I'm not mistaken, with him going down. But he's losing, so he's going to catch back up to his team. And now eUnited poising for an attack. They know they're down at 0%. It's going to be a dry run basically for both teams. And soon able to get his pulse bomb up, and Valu going to catch up in just a few seconds. But Nox going in really deep here. He's looking for Boombox. He's actually able to spot out Cruz and force it back, but Sherrick getting caught with the pulse bomb will go down. Rogue will stabilize.
Yeah, Valu has one as well, but he's not going to try and use it. He's not going to try and sort of secure a man parity between these two teams and make it a 5v5. They're just going to happy to save it for a fight that they can hopefully win here. It's tough for that attacking team. And they put more value on those ultimates like Pulse Bomb when they're trying to take the point for themselves.
I love how Nox is just basically shutting the door in any position they want to come through. Now he's just going to separate the entire team as he jumps in towards the back line. Now Unko going to be backing off as well. Has his teammates there to help out. But Nico's going to go down. More picks up that initial kill. We do have Transcendences up. We do have Rogue committing ultimates into this. And eUnited have every opportunity to still win this fight. Boombox, he has 1 HP, but he has Trance.
Yep, Transcendence has also been used by Unko over the point there as well, which is why the kill feed wasn't filling up. eUnited weren't actually able to pressure the advantage they managed to gain early in the round with the demise of Cruz. Tariq gets dropped pretty easily, and Rogue are actually bouncing back pretty comfortably here.
eUnited didn't use ults, so they actually just win it. They figured, let's just go into a safer fight next time, lose a couple of %, and then win hands down because of the ults that we do have. But Cruz has to be careful. He cannot really afford to die. We're at 75%. That's going to be 85% before he even respawns back in, and then he has to run back to the point to help out. That might have been just a major mistake, and they need to stop dying here. Mort goes down. They're at 80%. They don't have the time to work with.
Tariq and Mort did at least find a couple of kills there, which is at least going to stop this aggression from Rogue. It will give them just enough time to form up for a 5 ultimate team fight here for eUnited. Unco doesn't have Transcendence, keep that in mind, but they have Soundberry at least to work with here. It's going to be a messy fight. It's definitely going to be intense. Unfixed starts off well, though. That's wins down with the Helix Rocket. Mort going to drop it. Unfixed replies. Look how far forward he's standing. He's literally standing on his enemy's side of the map, standing on top of that binding field with the tac visor, and he is so good with hitting those right-click rockets.
That trance was definitely questionable about a boombox there. Maybe he was forced to use that because of Soon attacking him, but they needed every single ultimate they possibly could have because they just captured the point for the first time. They have 90% to go, and they have to somehow use these ultimates correctly. The problem is that Nico saved his blade. Boombox has no Transcendence. Mort has no Sound Barrier. Nico can pretty much solidify this round for Rogue by himself.
Value's been picked off as well. That's not a good start. Now, it's going to be both Dragon Blades coming out here as well. You know who Nico's going to be looking for, but he can't find him. Boombox brings it down, and Nico is nowhere to be seen. Cruz now with a Dragon Blade. He managed to find the opposition Zenyatta, so that puts eUnited at a distinct advantage. They still have that presence of healing on their team, and now Cruz is running right on the point. Back and forth. The resets are coming through, and Soon is cut down as well.
Oh, AKM just picked the kill on a Cruz, though, so he's going to be able to run back in time. But, I mean, Boombox, you cannot underestimate how important that kill was onto Nico because they had no ultimates to really work with. They have no support ultimates even still to have stopped that blade. And now Nox, the only one with on the side of Rogue with AKM getting his visor in just a few seconds. Problem is, Unco's going to have his trance. Soon has Pulse Bomb.
Just how Nox just got burst down. This has forced the Primal Rage out from him here as well. Now, Boombox will fall. Nox was more than happy to use that at this stage of the game. All of the ultimates, it's on for young and old. Open season as AKM lines them up and knocks them down. We're into overtime now, and eUnited only got 59% here. The Transcendence as well, just to make things sure and secure. And it is the 2-1. Slower start for Rogue, but they break back in, and one does have to wonder again. Some of these ultimates being drawn out. I understand if you're being threatened as a Zenyatta player, you might want to go for the Transcendence, but you've already won the fight. If that was the case and Boombox was being taken low and was, threatened with death, just cop it.
He should have let himself die, actually, I think, and then just kind of run back with the help of Mort to speed him back in.
Presuming that was why he Transcendence.
Exactly.
If he did it because he thought that... Look, I don't know.
But hey, I mean, either way, credit to Rogue, right? To read into that, to realize, hey, his chance is down. This should be a fight we can win if we just position things correctly, and Mort just wasn't quick enough to get his Sound Barrier back up. We're back on Village here. We're going to be seeing the Divas come back online. We already know this went the way of eUnited last time in the first map.
We did, and it worked out quite interestingly as well. It was interesting to see how the interactions actually occurred with both teams that lacking Genjis. A lot of the fighting happening up on that high ground. That was the most important part. Again, Boombox opens with a salvo of Orbs of Destruction, and they do find their mark, do quite a bit of damage here. He's trying to keep himself safe. So you can see how cognizant he is of his positioning right now, standing behind his team and just trying to get Orbs through them.
You can see AKM able to get the kill on Mort, but Soon off to the side as well. I mean, if you're Diva, you can't mitigate damage in the 360 degrees around you. You can only focus it directly in front, and Soon is applying damage from the side, which eventually is able to help get people low, and eventually able to win the fight.
Yeah, nice decision-making from Rogue to try and come there as well, come forward a little bit aggressively and catch Sharik out. Boombox hits an exit kill, and probably no more for him at this stage. They're a little bit pinned inside that room, but fortuitously, Rogue's actually going to give them a chance to set up again. Cruz goes in. This is quite aggressive. They don't even have all their players here, but Unfixed chimes in to find AKM to give the edge to eUnited.
Yeah, Unfixed is still able to maintain that position too. He has his tac visor, but he's not going to use it just yet because they think they can win this fight without it and only giving up about 15-20% over to the side of Rogue. But we are seeing the contestation come in. We're seeing Rogue try to hold on. But now they're trying to back away here. Unco is not going to have a chance. And eventually, eUnited will take the point and have 3 ultimates to boot on top of this.
And that's a positioning error from Unco there as well. That was a move by Sharik that really couldn't be punished by Rogue. Even with AKM getting there when he did, he was able to get out comfortably and find that kill. That's going to slow things up, and that's important for eUnited to at least get even 20-20 on percentage.
All right, so Wins, Mort both going to have Sound Barrier online at the same time. Soon's going to be on the point just to force someone to deal with him, which it has to be Valu. Soon's already about half HP, so it looks like he's winning on this one. But the Transcendence can be used aggressively here. There's no Genji to stop them, and we're going to see Unco respond as well. Valu has that pulse bomb, but the problem is he's not in a position to stop them to use this pulse bomb in that tight, closed area, because he's off chasing Soon.
Yeah, these Divas need to be looking to get desuited soon, because both soldiers have those tactical visors. The first team to lose a Diva is probably going to lose out in this fight, but Sharik doesn't even really care about that kind of thing. He's taken matters into his own simian hands. He's found 2 kills off that one already, but do keep in mind that, yeah, there's going to be a bit of a mini-game now, sort of whack a Diva, and who can get their soldier ults out.
It's just crazy to see that eUnited let Rogue come out, and then immediately Cruz and Sharik jump into the backline to kill AKM and Unco. So Rogue either needs to adapt to that by faking a push on the outside, baiting in Sharik and Cruz, and then turning around and protecting their supports, or they're going to continue to constantly lose those two players.
Well, now you can see Boombox sitting back there. It was a self-destruct that came through. That was from Nico. It didn't claim anyone. And Wins found Mort in the meantime. Unfixed there. That tack visor, super questionable. There's a Diva in your way, mate. None of that damage is going to get through at all. Oh, that's not ideal at all. Value had a pulse bomb, could have saved it for the Diva, trying to get the D-suit, but still the fight continues, and it's not been terrible. Boombox and Cruz are great at salvaging them from these disadvantaged situations. But soon now versus Boombox, this could be epic. Boombox is trying to get a few moments here as well, charging up the orbs, but again, Soon's just playing with his food, and now he'll have it.
He actually did get a decent amount of damage onto him. Hit him, I think, 1 or 2 orbs, but 1 or 2 is not going to do it, especially if you don't hit it in the head. We do have Nico still desuited, but it's at 85%, so he's going to have that up in time. Actually mitigate a hell of a lot of damage coming their way, but 50% built up for them, 70 almost for eUnited, and Unco has his trance. They have double support ultimates where eUnited only have 1. Now Boombox gonna get stuck, gonna go down, and that's gonna buy Rogue about another 15-20%.
And that just has to be a factor you consider when you're playing up against Soon as well. He is so good at doing that. And more oftentimes than not, you need to be entirely aware of where you're, even if you're standing on your side of the map, that you're not even necessarily safe there. Something to bear in mind. Boombox is the only ultimate on the side of eUnited right now.
Thing is, like, I don't know if they don't have the die potential to force Wids or Unco to use an ultimate, but instead, Rogue gonna get aggressive with this one instead of Unco being forced to use it. Boombox is gonna respond, so pretty much ultimate's being traded, but there's the sound barrier, and that should net Rogue a win.
Yeah, that's right. And what do eUnited do? They can actually back off from this. This is okay.
Oh, wow.
This is okay.
Serious?
They forced the ultimates out of Rogue. For some reason, Rogue didn't want to pursue. Self-destruct coming through. What's the response going to be to this one here? No kills from that one at all. Maybe it was wishful thinking, maybe something else that I didn't account for. AKM's up on the point here. Sharik finds Wins. He gets a little bit too close to the monkey. And now Valutaja gets the D-suit on towards Nico. There's only a few players up here for United right now. And it's going to be the tactical visor from AKM. The perfect cleanup tool on this point. Overtime is no more. And that's going to be it. The first map goes over towards Rogue. Very quickly responding to these upstarts in the United and telling them that they are still here to play and to win.
So soon, D-suits Cruz with the pulse bomb. AKM immediately pops his tack visor and then cleans up the rest of the fight. Really well done by them. Really good communication between the team. Play of the game, though, it's going to go over to Cruz, and we saw exactly what happened here. I think this was a quad or a 5-man kill.
And look at the grouping there.
Oh, my.
It's just so straight. We obviously can't see what the ultimate percentages were there as well, whether Unco had a trance and could have used it. I would say probably not. But that was pretty filthy with how close everyone was together, and Sanctum does offer those opportunities for Traces and Genjis, and even Zayas if you see them used to actually make a big impact there. I'm a little bit miffed, Jason.
Miffed, all right.
I'm miffed. That last map there as well, when we saw, I don't know what it was, a moment of indecision there. Unfixed went for their tactical visor up on the high ground. The problem was is that his team were already behind in the fight. A lot of the fight was actually occurring on the point and not where he was trying to aim up in towards the top left room. And there was still a Diva on the field. Valu had a pulse bomb. So like if they had considered, okay, Valu, head on in. It's always risky to pulse bomb a Diva, right? You need to do it from behind. You need to be very sneaky. But if they can get that DVD suited, that's fine. Rogue did that straight after an AKM and the easiest cleanup up on the point ever. Seeing attack visor where there's a Diva up is fine, but when you're trying to shoot someone behind the Diva with attack visor, that's not fine.
I think it comes down, well, at least in that aspect of where Unfixed was using that that visor, I think there was people also behind him he was trying to clean up. The problem was is that they had the ability, I think it was like Soon maybe, who was able to like just dash away and hide in the meantime while that was being used. And maybe he kind of overestimated how many people were up in that position, how many people were on point. Maybe there's miscommunication or something like that. But I mean, either way, Rogue did show they were able to combo their ultimates a little bit better. I think what's kind of interesting to me is that we've seen Mort and Boombox kind of have a major discrepancy in ult percents. Obviously, as Lucio, it's really hard to build up your sound barrier, but were unable to match Rogue quite a few times when it came to having support ultimates to stop like an engagement from coming. And even when we saw them disengage away from Rogue, when we saw the sound barrier popped, they still weren't able to actually pick up any kills on the re-entry because they didn't have any ults.
I mean, there's a reason. There's quite a lot of reasons there could be a stagger or discrepancy between your Lucio and Zenyatta ults. Either your Zenyatta's doing more or less damage than the opposition one. But yeah, we saw again, like this is something we really want to zero in on this matchup because we're seeing two very similar styles play against each other. We talk less about the interaction between the overarching approach to the game, and we need to go a little bit more micro and examine how the execution is actually carried out. And what this does lead us to do is to nitpick a little bit. Is to see timings on ultimates, working with economy, being aware of sort of what your opponents are actually working with and sort of playing around that and also how you respond to it. And then we see these great moments as well where Boombox just, manages to shoot Nico in the face when he has a Dragon Blade out. And those are the moments here that create advantages. And those are the moments that can also tip the favor of ultimate economy towards your side. They're also the things that can make these matches incredibly good, despite us seeing the same 6 heroes on each side of the battlefield.
I think even Shirk has had a fantastic match so far. I mean, his position's been really good. His teamwork with Cruz when they're on the Monkey Diva was amazing. You could see on Village alone, they were able to kill Unco and ACAM multiple times because they weren't able to get to their team.
And I do think that that's a big consideration for eUnited as well, to focus down on those two. They often know as well that Unco, and this is historical, that Unco and AKM have always worked very closely together on the battlefield, unless otherwise required, generally speaking. They like to stick together. Unco likes to focus on keeping AKM healed. And AKM says himself, he believes that the role of him and Unco is to shut down the star player on the enemy team or the most impactful player. So when I spoke to him in the lead up to the Lunatic High game, they said, the two of us are very much focused on dealing with who are you. And now we know how that all worked out. But that's the idea behind it, right? And if United can sort of target that and try and work with that a little bit more, it could work in their favor. The thing is, though, they're using Boombox quite differently. He's actually in charge of, covering, I guess, flanking or peripheral avenues of approach on some maps on his own. We saw him on Shrine, facing the point on that left-hand side room where he actually got picked off really early by AKM there.
I still think in that point in particular, they were trying to pull Nox in again. It's like, oh, hey, I freeze Zenyatta out of position, jump in on him, and then they jump from the top ground directly to where he is to protect him. I want to say that's the way they're using him, but you're right. They're throwing him in different directions, which can be a detriment to your team if he gets caught out, like we saw with AKM catching him.
I mean, in all honesty, Rogue will use their Zenyatta if it's Unco or wins on Hanamura defense in the same way. They use him over if you're on the point, looking outwards on the left-hand side to stop a Tracer from trying to flank through the side room and get up on the high ground. So that's an assignment that you often receive as a Zenyatta, and that's how the game's changed, and that's how Zenyatta has become so centric to this meta that a lot of responsibilities on their shoulders. You have a lot of potential to do damage. You even take a Diva to protect the Zenyatta or allow him to do unanswered damage as well. And Boombox is the perfect player to sort of mold in that style.
We've got the right
Well, Boombox has already had a lot of moments of brilliance, so for actually standing out a little bit more than Unco in terms of like raw killing power. But Unco has been able to position himself in general relatively well to stay alive because he does have his teammate, as you pointed out, AKM there to protect him, which we've seen Unfix doing time and time again for Boombox too. So like you're saying, very similar styles. It comes down to very small nitpicky things that decide how these fights really go. We're seeing United want to go for, Rogue want to go for a very aggressive hold, but we see Unfix already on the Hanzo.
Yeah,
So
I like this. This could really work against Rogue. Rogue want 3 defensive fights. They want to fight here, they want to fight on the hairpin, and they want to fight in front of the gate. If this messes up for them, though, they'll know about it. Notice that not the whole team's here. They can actually all run away if this kind of goes wrong. We'll see if the Sonic Arrow comes out. I'm pretty sure it has. I think they've been spotted. No, actually, it didn't come out at all.
It did.
Okay, sorry. I saw Cruz go up there and test them, so I wasn't too sure. It did. Valutage is on the Widowmaker here. This is super interesting. You can see that now. The Brawler's broken out very deep. Soon, look at him. He knows exactly where to go. He's marking his target, and now he's there to finish the job. Boombox is a bodyguard as well as an assassin. That's quite the resume, Jason.
What can't this man do at the moment? He's doing a fantastic job, and Valu's still sticking as he gets onto Nico. So this aggressive defensive hold not working out for Rogue at all. And now Valu's even to go back to switch things up, and eUnited just got such a huge lead.
Rogue just got thrown in the dumpster and had it set on fire. That was so sick. Boombox also found AKM at long range in that fight that we didn't even get to see. There's a switch here, though. Unfix, I like this. This is how you keep momentum going. This is how you try and snowball further when you bring the Roadhog in. Get the picks and exacerbate the fact that your opposition team may not actually have set up as a full 6.
Well, he switched to actual Roadhog right after he used Hanzo to spot them out in that position, too, because he realized if we just hook one person in, we get that kill, we can snowball so hard, and they're still doing it. Look how aggressive they're being here. Cruz picking up the kills on Nico. This payload is still continuing to move.
This is what I wanted to see in that earlier series. This is why I was so mystified that the game went to Gibraltar at all. Makes absolutely no sense. eUnited have a good cerebral approach here. The heuristic is solid. And Rogue are just getting pushed back, and you can see that eUnited now have some really nice ultimates in case Rogue try and commit, because they don't have any support ultimates. Unco and Wins have been essentially nullified here. And they'd be crazy to try and throw too much at this fight, but they have to.
At least throw in that that ultimate to maybe get a cheeky kill or two, maybe somehow force ultimates out of eUnited. That way you're coming even safer into the second phase. They want to bait out as much as they possibly can, realizing there's no real chance of holding on.
Really clever from eUnited. They actually step back from the payload. They give it a bit of distance here, and that makes it very, very hard for Rogue to get to grips with them there. Cruz almost felled by AKM, actually connected that Helix rocket there, but of course, a friendly salute, and they move on to the second stage. Great pace from eUnited so far. Rogue need to reset.
All right, so now Rogue, they invest what? A pulse bomb? Not even a pulse bomb. They invest a Primal Rage out of Nox, and that's it. In the meantime, United did commit a pulse bomb out of Valu, and Boombox did use a Transcendence in that fight. So they at least baited out 2 ultimates from that one. Unfix now switching over to Soldier from that Roadhog. and Rogue are looking to eventually get out of his position, but the problem is you've got Cruz watching high ground. You have no Transcendence anymore because Unco's actually playing the Ana, so you have no way of stopping Cruz from doing this damage unless somehow Unco can hit a 6 sleep dart, which we've seen him do plenty of times in the past.
Yeah, and again, of course, bear in mind that Unco's Biotic Grenade, if used properly, which he's very good at doing, I think back to the last time we saw Gibraltar, can nullify essentially a large amount of Transcendence if it did come up. There's a sound barrier here for eUnited. It's going to be Attack Visor coming through. AKM needs to get into position first. Boombox is waiting in the corner, but AKM, not much he can do about that. I think he almost choked on some of those shots. He just straight up didn't connect. And AKM taking matters into his own hands, trying to take the middle of the building, but Cruz survives with a sliver of health and nothing more than that. He won't get away though. Nox can chase him down.
So Rogue, the only commit was 2 ultimates there. Using the Nano Visor, and United, they didn't have the Transcendence because Boombox used it earlier on. Mort, he didn't get his sound barrier up because I think his team was too spread to make that worthwhile using that ultimate worthwhile for now. And they can also maintain it to use into Nico, who wants to use this blade. But that's the thing what Rogue has. They have the ability to throw in Nico with the blade, force out a Transcendence, and use Nano Visor, or vice versa.
Dragon Blade coming out from both sides. No, it's not just an echo. It's Nico going in for the backline, and Boombox again is the subject of focus. He's low, and he's down. Boombox yet again delivers. The percentage of this guy's winning fights is unbelievable. He barely wipes any sweat off of him, and he's wiping the whole team. What do you do about a problem like Boombox?
Well, when Rogue find that answer, we'll probably see Boombox not getting as many of these kills. He's doing an amazing job. Like you see, Mort went back to protect him. Mort booped him away. He kept him healed, kept him sped up to escape. And Nico was not able to finalize those kills. And now we're looking into the home stretch of the second point where United, they do have a Transcendence, they do have a Visor, and Rogue have nothing to respond with.
Boombox drops down now with a Transcendence. He's surely garnered from all the damage he did to the entirety of Rogue's roster earlier on. Now Unfix is going to layer in Attack Visor, and Nox is out of position there. He's a little bit too low out in midair. Hope to try and get himself airborne. This is going to be a rocket. Yep, that's going to hurt. Nico is going to drop down, but still Rogue managed to stall this out in a couple of waves. Now they've been silenced. Maybe one desperate chance, but perhaps they're better off just trying to set up here in the last phase.
And you might be able to say that United maybe committed an ultimate they didn't need to, or 2 ultimates they didn't need to. But to be honest, if you're in that situation, you do not want to get wiped there and then have to run back and then eventually be snowballed against. You want to solidify that point, take that extra time bank that you do get, and then use that to rebuild any ultimates that you do need.
So soon switch towards the McCree here, which is really interesting. Maybe hoping to make use of the high ground. Obviously, Nico now on that deep. Nox is playing Reinhardt. Now we have a Protect the McCree composition, but the Pulse Bomb is dropped on him there. It's not quite enough to take him down, but you can see the Primal Rage of Shriek is going to be enough. It's a Nox pancake. The 1-for-1 trade is not enough for eUnited to win the fight out blatantly, but they can continue to advance. The attack visor from AKM might compound this problem though, and he does find Cruz, who tried the Dragon Blade in the face of that, but luckily hasn't refunded for the next fight.
Yeah, Cruz is going to be happy actually, not wasting that ultimate. Boombox is going to have his trance too, and Unco, who has switched from the Ana over to the Zenyatta. So we saw a triple switch, soon from Tracer to McCree, Unco from Ana to Zenyatta, and Nox from Winston over to Reinhardt.
This is quite a treat. I've been waiting to see this for quite some time here. So obviously,
look at Unfix though. He just swapped too.
Yep. Sombra, I like it. There's so many peripheral health packs around the side here. If you can actually access them under the cover of stealth, you can do a lot of work. Soon's going to get dived on though. Nice splash forward. Nox catches him somehow in midair. Beautiful stuff there. And that's going to shut things down very quickly for United. No more Dragon Blade as well there for Cruz. Valentine gets a D-suit on Nico, but he goes down. United seem like they're kind of struggling to respond to this, despite Unfix continuing to chip away from the sides.
I think they were trying to force out the Transit of Unco, but they actually didn't use it. Instead, they used a sound barrier to keep this available for any other ultimates coming their way, with the EMP in particular. So Unco has to be very careful. He does not want to be caught out at all, and I'm curious the position that he's going to be holding here, because it's going to be so hard in such an open area like this to not get EMP'd.
Double Transcendence, but Deadeye doesn't care about it. Still, he doesn't quite connect there for whatever reason. Soon wasn't able to fell any targets, although the idea was good. The flash catches Valutanja, but he had a sound barrier, so he's able to back away here. Soon, plinking away at the Winston, trying to deal with him, and Nox is also there. He's super low. One more swipe, and the Fist may well have actually dealt with him, but he backs away cleverly over into his spawn. This gives a bit of room here for eUnited to push forward, with Nico being taken down and desuited as well. Unfixed has that EMP.
All right, so that means Unco ideally should be dead right away. Nox is not going to have a shield. He potentially is not even going to have an Earth Shatter here if he could just use this one correctly. He spots him out. He's going to get towards the high ground. He needs to use it soon. He needs to stop this Earth Shatter from coming through because they have nothing to stop it. But the shield's going to be down. This is his moment to strike. This is his moment to pop this shatter off.
Oh, Nox is so susceptible to this as well. He has no shield left. He's got to back away. It's a disaster. It's a complete massacre over the payload. Cruz just waiting for someone to come out through the door. He's the doorman, but in the other way around. AKM's forced back. Attack Visor's not going to get him too much. This is a beautiful turn of events here now. Stall is going to be hard to achieve. Soon's going to try and blink on towards the payload, but
Nox has shatter still.
In short shrift. This could be big, but no, it's not going to be enough time. eUnited get the map finished. We saw some different compositions from both sides there, but Nox's Reinhardt again. I love the quick switch from Unfixed to say, I'm going to bring Sombra in here. Reinhardt can't do anything when he's hacked.
And the timing, too, to have Sherrick's bubble come down, to buy them that leeway to stop any Shadow from coming in, and then right when that's about to fade, he jumps in, pops the EMP off, and they immediately focus him down to prevent that ult from coming. Thing is, if they could have stalled for a little bit longer, if Nox could have got that Shatter off with a couple of teammates behind him, they could have turned that around. But a great timing, again, great focus towards the end when Nox did respawn back in to stop any possibility of that.
Good turnaround there. I mean, eUnited knew they had to change something in that final stage. I think the McCree kind of stymied them briefly. Maybe not expecting to see it there as well. You could see that Soon was also very good at keeping himself safe. Multiple times he was dived upon, and that's often cited as a weakness of McCree against these comps. He can get dived on. You have to be very capable. You also need a great deal of support. That's why you see the Diva and the Reinhardt in that same composition to try and set Soon up to do damage from long range.
The thing is, if you're also McCree in that position, you don't have anywhere to run. You have a wall directly behind you, so if anywhere you're going to run back to spawn, you don't have the ability to kite Sherrick if you're having Winds protect you with a boop at a speed away. You don't have the ability to kite Cruz potentially on the Genji as well. You just don't have the ability to just get away and create distance.
Yep.
And that's where McCree's really going to fall off.
And if you want to stand in a position that's going to maybe make it harder to flank you in general, you need to stand a long way back and potentially limit your effectiveness as well, of course. As we are aware that McCree's damage fall off, while not as small as it used to be, is still reasonable. You do want to be up, at medium range to be at your most effective here. But on the defensive side, United actually bringing the Sombra straight off the bat here. Cruz is going to be playing that Diva.
Didn't Nico play Widowmaker way back in the day when he was on Melty?
He did.
Basically like a year ago.
Yeah, but this is like, this is even before he was like playing a bunch of Reaper and a bunch
It's
of
like on
Genji.
G2, wasn't it?
Yep.
So there's a very high possibility he could be pulling
No,
this off.
that was Flippy.
That's Flippy. Okay. All right, well, Nico's not going to be going for either way. Going back to the Genji, going back to Rogue's true style. But Unfixed still maintaining the Sombra, and we saw it work on defense against Cloud9.
Look at his ult charge. 54% already, 60 now. Unbelievable. They're going to be able to fight when this gets around the hairpin, and Unfixed is probably going to be able to EMP. They just need to try and wait for that moment and not lose too many players. But for whatever reason, eUnited look more than happy to kind of throw themselves at Rogue.
Well, he's got his EMP ready to go now, so he's not going to use it at the beginning. Oh, he actually might be a little bit too aggressive here. If he dies, this could be bad for them. They try to engage with him and Valu, and Valu's going to go down. They're getting staggered here. eUnited need to regroup, go in together, use that ult advantage they had with Unfixed, and then attack.
If you're not going to contest right up close to the spawn on defense, which is fine, that's reasonable, then you need to make sure you have a very well thought out and solid defense at Big Earls, because you're only going to have one more chance to hold that first point. eUnited have given Rogue way too much rope here.
Look at Soon actually pushed up really far too, trying to spot out which direction Unfixed is coming from. They need to spread out too, more importantly. They have 3 men, 2 men on the payload. And Shark's pretty much by himself here as Nico's trying to pick up that early kill, but there's the EMP coming off, but they've already lost Shark.
Yeah, not a good start at all here. And you can see that Nico's able to access the backline and deal with Boombox pretty comfortably here. It's all about Rogue. United are getting completely washed over here, and we maybe thought this might have been a better map for them, but they don't look to be solid at all. This is disappointing to say the least, and they must lift if they want to keep this series going longer.
I mean, at least they did finish this map. Like, they unfortunately could not do on Gibraltar, right? So I guess it's a little bit better for him, but with the way Rogue have started off this initial attack, are looking to fall to the wayside. Now they're being forced to switch things up, which loses them a lot of ult percent, but Unfixed not really too much for him since he just used his EMP in that fight and switches to Soldier. They cruise from the Diva to the Genji.
I do want to mention very quickly as well that
Oh,
Rogue...
no. Oh, no.
We'll do it after, perhaps. I think they didn't want to give me time. Nice positioning there from Rogue. That's dirty. That's the drop bear play. I'm calling it now. Straight down on top of eUnited. Didn't give him a chance to set up, and that payload is able to keep moving. I do want to point out very quickly that there is no map advantage being given to Rogue in this final. That was the ruling. That was what's been handed down to us. That's what we read off the paper to you. Rogue had the map and side choice in the first match, and that was considered sufficient here to account for the fact that they came from the upper bracket.
Yeah, and even eUnited said, like, you get the advantage of not having to play 3 matches as well. 2 matches ahead of that, where you get exhausted, you get worn down. So the advantage is clearly there for Rogue here, but they have 5 ultimates to go. eUnited, they're going to have Trance, yes, but they have to successfully get out of this position. They have to successfully get out of this gate.
Nico's going to drop down. He has the sound barrier just to back this one up here as well. And Rogue pretty much just making eUnited just quiver in fear right now. eUnited, as soon as they come through the door, it's like an instant respawn, and they're going to sail straight through. And this is pretty much the same way they played Gibraltar, the same way that eUnited struggled to deal with them, struggled to try and jockey back with them, to try and regroup. Every time, Rogue's had a new trick to make it hard to set up.
Is that Soon really far pushed up, actually, in the spawn of eUnited behind them? I believe he is, and he actually has a pulse bomb ready to go, but he's not going to use it just yet. Looking to escape, looking to stall for some time to allow Rogue just penetrate this defense. Just get around this corner, set things up, get Soon in a good position, maybe get Nico there as well. Maybe get eUnited to overcommit a little bit, as you can see Valo there. Trying to go for the 1v1, and Boombox already able to take down AKM, which gives them that man advantage. Yes,
I'm just not going to get surprised anymore about that, Jason. It's just happening far
you're going to go home and play Zenyatta, I'm pretty sure now.
Well, he's definitely made a fan out of me. I'm not gonna lie. Really nice stuff from him. But now Rogue, obviously having that Reinhardt here, they're gonna start to make their way forward a little bit more. Mort takes a fair bit of poke damage up on the high ground and needs to be careful. Unco is hoping to try and deal death with that one blow, but Unfixed picks him off in response. Unco getting a little bit too ahead of himself now, and Rogue are gonna be forced back yet again. The Primal Range committed to this fight, interestingly enough. Fortunately for eUnited, they have plenty of other ultimates to supplement that on the way.
And Nox actually switched over to the Reinhardt too, so it looks like eUnited not going to be going for a mirror matchup. They're not going to be switching things over either. So they have nothing to block the Surge Shatter, but it's hard enough as a Reinhardt to even hit the Fire Strikes with how mobile eUnited can be. Payload being contested. You're going to see Cruz ready with his Dragon Blade. The thing is, there's no real support ultimates to stop this one, but they might not even need it because Violet picks up an early kill.
Straight away. Boombox did fall down soon, but Rogue don't really consider that enough to be going on with. Sharik now just wants to reposition and get back to his team because Rogue will still try to look for a little bit more. They've got their, they've got their taste buds, I guess, teased a little bit and want to try and get a little bit more in the face of eUnited here. You can see Valitages being forced to evade as much as he possibly can, but Sharik falls to Unco. That's a factor sometimes you just can't account for. The Winston is down for eUnited and Rogue is starting to get a bit of confidence.
They're trying to force Unco to use the transfer. The problem was he didn't have it. I think they miscalculated when he would have this one available, and eUnited might just throw in a chance for such a good defense. If they just engaged with Cruz's Blade, they would have been able to stop Rogue in their tracks, and Valo's trying to claw something back. He's going to fall from this, and now eUnited have to regroup. There's still 3 minutes of time here.
eUnited are going up against a composition that doesn't mind playing a little bit more statically here. They have to get aggressive. They have to try and pressure Nox's Reinhardt. But doing so really puts them at risk of getting picked up from the high ground position of AKM and the other DPS players on Rogue. Now, this will be the last fight of this match. There's a very good chance of it. Soundberry's going to come down and AKM's forced to back away. Unco stays in step though. He gives her that Transcendence healing, but soon fell without that. That means that Rogue have to back up.
This is still going to be hard for eUnited though. This is such an uphill battle because Nox is going to have this Shatter. There's nothing to stop this one, so you need to make sure to play from the high ground. If you're a Boombox here, you could not afford to get shattered. You have to play very carefully. You need that Transcendence, especially when you don't even have a Sound Barrier anymore.
Sound Barrier now for Rogue is starting to come forward. Nox as well wants to pressure Sharik. He's getting a lot of easy damage across. The Transcendence comes up on the high ground and the Pulse Bomb connects with Nox. He's been taken down. Sharik comes in from above just to secure that one, but the Pulse Bomb was well laid. Rogue still want to commit to this though. We might see further ultimates drawn out of them to try and find an advantage, and eUnited need to stay with their wits about them after losing Boombox.
They have to be careful though. They're in such a tight area. Cruz can get these resets, but Cruz has gone down. A Visor coming out of Unfixed, who's just not able to get too much value off of this, but Sharik popping off, using that Primal Rage to get the kill onto Unco, and to keep them away from this payload to buy more time. Unfixed picks up a kill on Nico, gets the D-suit and the kill, and they've halted Rogue. A minute 50 left to go, but the distance isn't that far off for them.
And that's definitely an ult that was forced out there because Unfixed is tack visoring into a D.Va. Granted, the defense matrix wasn't sufficient for Nico to stop the damage coming through, but Unfixed saw he had no other choice.
There's a Shatter self-destruct combo. eUnited have no support ultimates to stop this. Nox could go huge for his team. He could channel his inner Kaiser here, hit multiple people, and close off this game.
Yeah, he needs to find it right now. The problem is that it's kind of hard to hit all of eUnited at once, but maybe they don't have to. Soon has dealt with Boombox already at the start of this fight. The healing from Zenyatta won't be present. There was no Transcendence available, but still, that's quite the blow. Sharik overextends. Dragon Blade comes through. Called him Fort Nox because he's got it on lock. Beautiful. Earth Shatter coming in from the backside there. Cruz tried to do something with the Dragon Blade, but it wasn't enough.
That's going to be Valo trying to respawn with the Pulse Bomb to finish off Nox. They can have some sort of mana advantage, but the problem is Rogue have a trance. They have attack vibes. eUnited are going to not really have a chance to hold on and stall for this one. That's going to be Sharik going down, and they still have so many ultimates to use here. Wins popping down the Sound Barrier a little bit later on, and that's going to be Soon looking to pick up some more kills.
Yeah, not much to be done there for Cruz. He can't really get rid of that extra damage with the defense matrix, but this is a eUnited have held on for quite some time. It's not going to be any more than that. But both of these teams have finished the map in pretty much the similar amount of time. There are 3 seconds that separated their times. 1 minute is what Rogue's going to have remaining. 1 minute and 3 for eUnited.
So now we have to ask ourselves here, Mitch. Does Unfixed want to go for the Somber play again? It's really risky. It's high risk, high reward. You're going to have that EMP. But the problem is if Valu dies, if Unfixed dies, if anyone on the team dies, Rogue's not going to let that one go. They're going to push up so aggressively, and they're going to try to get as much distance as they possibly can. That first point hold out of eUnited was non-existent, to be fair. So maybe to change things up, maybe Unfixed will just go onto the Soldier. Cruz, at the moment, is going to be sitting on the D.Va. Go for a little bit more of a tanky lineup here.
You can see that they're discussing it right now, though. They haven't actually picked any of the heroes that really give it away. Now Unfixed chooses the 76. So eUnited have decided Their setup with Sombra didn't really work out for them. Perhaps it's not tested adequately, especially not up against a team like Rogue, and sticking with something they know better might be the better option. Boombox is playing Anna in this situation, so eUnited are really looking to dig in for a long, cold winter, so to speak, and have as much healing as possible come across without that potential risk as well of having Boombox picked off. They trade away his devastating damage potential for more sustainability.
I think they're going for a little bit of poke here, actually, trying to use the distance that Rogue has to cover to their advantage. So sit on top of big girls, allow Unfix to get some chip damage in, and then once you get someone low, then you can force this engage. Boombox, I think him and Cruz is going to be like a big win condition for them, or him and Unfix to use this Nano Blade or this Nano Visor to shut Rogue down, because they're not using a Diva. They have no way of stopping this damage from coming in, but more already going down to AKM.
Yeah, and that was rough. I think AKM knew where he was because of the Sonic arrow that came out from the start. It actually went on towards the cliff on the corner, not onto the cart. So Rogue had a bit of early information about some of the setup here, and Unfix now really needs to dig deep and get this one fixed. It was a good bite of grenade over towards Nox, but Boombox needed more help, and with the bubble there, Unfix couldn't get the damage across.
And even delay him a little bit longer too, so he can't regroup with his team. And no ultimates even close for United. A little bit dangerous here as Rogue's going to continue to push this payload further, trying to get as much distance. I think United are looking to shut this down before he gets to the first point. They almost have to do it with how sloppy their first attack was.
Yeah, you're happy if it doesn't get... If that first checkpoint comes up, eUnited are going to be bristling. They're not going to be pleased at all. Let's see, though, because they've brought back the forces in, and Nico now going to try and jump down on towards the payload. Immediately by the grenaded, though. I don't know who else was affected by it, but Unco was severely low here. Nico drops down. Boombox deals with him as well. Just as deadly on the Ana as he is on the Zenyatta. And now Nox needs to do something about this. Cleave a bit of damage, try and get something done. But Soon already drops to more here, and eUnited have stepped up to the occasion. The stall, though, will be there. Nox can stick to this payload for as long as he needs to, or at least a little while, to keep things going. But over time, will tick down. Nico needs to dash forward and get there, but he's so low, he gets naded out straight away. There was a breach stall, but that's all there's going to be. Mark this, 58.78 meters. That's what eUnited need to match.
All right, so remember cast our minds back to the first attack here out of eUnited. We did have Rogue go for that aggressive hold, right? Try to make 3 attacks happen, or 3 defenses happen before they got to the first checkpoint. There's no way in hell they should be doing that again, considering Unfix spotted them out with the Hanzo before. So they got to play a little bit more passive. I think eUnited are going to expect this for the most part. But all it can take is one fight to close things out. It takes just one pick. And Unco's not going to be running the Zenyatta. Going to be running Ana here. Obviously, the distance is very hard to make a Zenyatta work. But you also have that potential, if you can heal Nox quickly enough, to get an early nano out.
And it may be an early nano, but because of how short the time is in this round, you can't really approach this from an ult economy perspective. You need to bank on the individual skill of your players to just win out what we call a dry fight, where there are no ultimates available at all.
All right, so 20 seconds to go here before we do kick things off. As I said before, Mitch, 58.78 meters is what we need to see eUnited cross to tie things up in this series. Like I said, there's no map advantage. It was pick and side advantage for the first map. Valu, is he actually committing to the Widowmaker? We saw him use it before in the beginning.
Hail Mary, maybe, get some picks. It could just be the early setup just to see if someone from Rogue is bold enough to stand too far forward. We'll see if he sticks to it. Unfix is on the Hanzo here. Now he switches off. Okay, just a Sonic arrow yet again. Valu was hoping Rogue are going to come forward, but they're not going to. So that's a couple seconds lost, maybe almost 10 seconds lost in setup here. But the payload's moving forward regardless. It'll be one big fight. I don't really know if eUnited have much else in them than that. If Boombox gets a pick here, that's just going to set this on fire.
You can see the pressure that AKM's under. He gets hit with a Discord Orb and a headshot as well. Very low HP. Soon is behind them. He's looking for Boombox. Can Boombox hit this kill? But actually, it's Nox jumping in to help out, and he's going to secure this one.
That could be devastating, but Nox drops to Unfix, so at the very least this is traded out. Soon, fortuitously, was standing up on top of that health pack there. He's able to stay alive and at least trying to jockey back. This is bad for eUnited. Cruz has already dropped down. They're losing players. They're bleeding them out. Valitaja got to follow him here. 15 seconds remain, and eUnited have to come up with something. They need to go big. They're not going to have ultimates to work with. That's not going to be a thing here. If anyone soon might have a pulse bomb, now they're going to set up.
You still see AKM pushing up, though. He's trying to get some really early damage in. 3 seconds to go. The payload will be touched. I sure as hope it's going to be touched here. Finally, we're into overtime. Soon pushes aggressively here, trying to stop him from getting this high ground control away from him. He's got even Nico there to help him out, and Unfix is having a tough time dealing with this.
Yeah, Soon now just really needs to get rid of someone. That Bionator, and Sharik is nasty. He has to jump away. He can't hang around. And Valitaja goes deep, but it doesn't work out. Nico drops. It's the 1-for-1, but now AKM's there on towards Mort, and it's Rogue standing tall here. Boombox finds the kill, though. This might be the turning factor, but Cruz is too low to duel out with AKM at length. Its bubbles dropped, and Sharik is outside of his defensive dome. Overtime is done. It's a close one. But eUnited don't quite have the elbow grease to get them to the yellow box of victory.
And now Rogue are one map away here from closing out TakeOver 2, defending back-to-back titles. I don't know, eUnited, they still played really well there, with all things considered. But with Soon going for the sneaky flank, Nox dropping directly on top of Boombox, it didn't allow eUnited that first engagement that they wanted. It didn't allow them to get the positioning they wanted, most importantly. And from there, they really struggled to get a foothold on the map.
eUnited maybe almost foolishly hoping that Rogue were going to be so insane, perhaps, as to try and go for, again, a really forward, really cheesy kind of fight. But they were playing that one safe. I mean, they respected the gravity of the situation enough there to play back and to play solid and just try and trade out a bit of aggression. Hanamura is going to be the next map as well.
It's not like the Widow Hanzo pick at the beginning cost them any time, because the Hanzo is shot, unfixed immediately switch to Soldier who can sprint, and then you have Valu who's on the Widowmaker, looks for the early shot, switches to Tracer and can just dash out. So it's not like they really lost any time. It was more of a precaution, because if somehow Valu gets a kill, gets a headshot with someone being too far up and being too cocky, they have the 6-on-5. They can push the distance with that, and they can snowball. So yeah, not really losing much in the end, but you can see Rogue really respecting how badly their first defense went.
One thing that I do enjoy greatly about this match is that it is far closer. Maybe not on paper, because obviously there's still a 2-0 in this best-of-5 series. But eUnited have stepped up. The problem is Super Saiyan enough to get them across the line here? Then it may not be enough of a step up from obviously, and they've played a lot of games as well. I think looks like they've learned
Super
a lot.
Saiyan enough?
Yeah,
okay.
It's like Super Saiyan enough.
Yeah.
Like, what does that have to be Super Saiyan 2 with like the bigger hair or like the no eyebrows? Oh, that's the third one, isn't it?
That's the third one, yeah.
It's pretty baller.
Or is it in Dragon Ball Super now? It's like Super Saiyan God.
Isn't he like, yeah, okay,
Blue
they're
hair.
running out of names for it.
Yeah,
you can't
they really
just keep
are.
putting numbers at the end of it.
The fact that, no, I'm not going to go into it. You have like Krillin as strong as Goku, which makes absolutely no sense, but that's a completely different topic that we don't need to talk about.
It's canon, Jason, that's the way it is.
It makes no sense.
But maybe eUnited are the Krillin to Rogue's Goku here. Maybe in a spin-off series,
a little bit of a stretch.
they could, maybe in a spin-off series, they could actually be stronger. Maybe this is where it happens. I'm not really sure. Perhaps creative license might need to be taken by the gods of Overwatch. That be. There's one chance remaining, though, for eUnited. That's the important factor. And Hanamura is going to be a very interesting map for this one. We actually did see it. It was closer in my opinion. I think that was where we really started to compliment Rogue on the change in mindset of how they manage their ultimates. But we've seen both teams make errors in that domain so far over this series. We've definitely can point the fingers at multiple players. This meta puts so much pressure on your Zen and your Lucio players, on your supports in general as well. Now they're really having to step up into the spotlight, whereas before it was very much just sit on the payload and hope for the best.
I think as well that the secret tactic that United had was the Sombra, which we already saw in Hanamura just earlier on today. And Rogue weren't really miffed by it at all when it came to Route 66. They were expecting it. They predicted the EMP offered them nothing. Unfix was forced to switch right away. I don't know how it's going to work when it comes to Hanamura, though. Because on Hanamura, obviously, if you want to play heavy tank setup, which we won't see Rogue do, if they want to play dive setup, you can spread out really easily. The first point, though, is a little bit different, where your supports kind of need to stick together, and that's where Samba can really capitalize on top of that.
And again, for defensive teams, you will have that option to go for a Zenyatta or an Ana, much like you would defensively on a map like Gibraltar. But Rogue often like to try and chase for kills defending, really like to try and put pressure and stretch time out and buy themselves a few seconds each time around. And for that purpose, they use wins to speed boost them back out the gate to sort of chase their fleeing opponents here. So what we see in terms of the support setup for the defensive side will tell us quite a lot about how they're feeling. Maybe in confidence terms as well, or how much they respect their opponents. It's actually something that we can extrapolate a little bit into the mentality of the team, but also what they're trying to achieve, which is what I find most interesting about this map.
I think Boombox in particular is going to have a lot of pressure on him for this, because we saw a little bit of adaptation on the side of Rogue. Obviously, in Route 66, the initial point, Ana can be really good considering the distance you have to actually work with. She has infinite range on her healing, whereas in Yada you have to be a little bit closer to get the orb on someone. Then 3 seconds later, if they're not in line of sight, it's going to disappear. I feel like Unco's been able to play a much better Ana than Boombox has, but Unco's known for his Ana too, way back in the day. And that kind of worries me, because I saw Boombox playing Ana and he missed, a couple of shots here or there, and he might need to really step up into that role they're going to need. Because we have seen a swap off with him playing the Ana and Mort playing the Zenyatta when it comes to this map.
We are going to see that soon. I mean, yeah, Mort Zenyatta as well. He also says he's quite aggressive. He likes to play that aggressive style, and I think Wins, you could probably almost level that same comment in his direction as well. He is the kind of player that has no respect for his opponents, and that sort of usually works in his favor. But it's Unco on the Ana, Wins on the Lucio here, so definitely what we would consider to be a slightly more standard composition. And for Rogue, it sort of denigrates a tendency to try and weather the storm. Again, like I mentioned earlier on, that's what it kind of indicates here. Boombox will probably be on the Zenyatta. I wouldn't be surprised if they can bust things open here as well. If he can be that nutcracker.
I think Wins is actually like tweeting something right now, as he typically does when he's
No,
famous.
he's actually retweeting Cruz's tweet saying that Rogue wouldn't be top 5 in Europe.
Oh, maybe
Maybe that one. Just getting it fired up, like scheduling the tweet, you know?
Oh, I actually have a Snapchat from him right now. No.
I know that happened before, though. That's just that's how laissez-faire he was. But all right, let's jump in here. This may well be the final map of the TakeOver 2. It's Rogue in the blue to attack or to defend, and eUnited in the red to go on the offense here. Well, let's see if eUnited can stay alive in this series.
All right, you see Unco setting up. Pretty typical spot for Honest to be played. You have, it looks like ACAM on the higher ground towards the Mega to his right. Just gonna back off for now since he was getting a couple of shots off at him. And you got, most importantly, Wins to help protect him. And to push into Unco, who is so prolific with his sleep darts into such a tight, close corridor, you're most likely gonna be hit. So they're not going to really go for that just now, not to mention they actually pushed into them. Of course, eUnited back with some early kills.
Wins is really good at doing this, actually. He did this last time we saw these two play on Hanamura. He just seems to find these picks, whether it's sort of spam or it's more calculated. He picks off players on the outside of that doorway quite nicely. With Valetaji going down as well, eUnited really just have to bide their time a little bit more.
I was really hoping to see eUnited ride that high from that last match against Cloud9 a little bit longer and bring it into this match. I mean, the matches have been so close between these two teams. Just not close enough for United to finally secure those victories, and that forever second meme might just be living a little bit longer today, as we're still struggling to even get down towards this point.
Yeah, forever the bridesmaid, never the bride, unfortunately, is the existence of eUnited in all of their permutations across the last year or so of quality European Overwatch. Now eUnited trying to outmaneuver Rogue. This is something they're familiar with here as well, but Nox is going to go in. He gets himself that nano boost. A lot of damage there. You've noticed that Mort actually tried to boop him away, but Nox landed on top of them both, killed them with the impact.
That was just dirty too. I mean, they invested early nano boost, but nonetheless, it still works out. Boombox still picks himself up a double kill. We know how long the respawn and the run back is going to be for Rogue here. They've lost now 3 people, and Soon is just trying to respond. He has that post-move available, but he runs into his teammate. Valu gets a stick on a knock. Soon is still going to be alive, but he doesn't have the teammates there to help him out. Oh, Boombox again!
Death, taxes, and Boombox doing things that shouldn't be shown on television. That is the story of eUnited right there. Beautiful stuff from him. He just cleans up his prediction. Again, that right click's less about aim and more about your forward thinking and how you time things. That was
Game
so
sense.
sick. Yeah, and it wasn't even necessary, that kill puffs in the end of the day, but what he did before that, what we saw off screen getting those 2 important pickoffs was, again, what a star player on a pivotal role.
He's got trance too. I was assuming with Rogue seeing him get that many kills, they're going to know he has it, but they actually might walk into this one. Nico might try to blade them in here to buy some time for Rogue to just get a little bit better position for Wins to build up his Transcendence. The Blue are very low in HP, and I think by now Rogue should know that he has it up, so they cannot force this fight.
Yeah, well, that being said, yeah, Wins making this switch here as well makes things a little bit riskier, of course, that there needs to be some ultimate. It's going to be the sound barrier coming in, though, when the fight has begun. Sharik is sent forward, so is Cruz. They force Rogue back. They're quite good at doing this. Wins can't get back behind the stasis field quick enough to stay alive, and there's been a lot of ground given by Rogue. They're going to try and come back in and reclaim, but the tactical visor has been activated for run fix. There is Nico up on the high ground as well. He needs to deal with AKM, but he needs to find where he is. Nico finds Mort there, and unfixed falls to Soon. Boombox again doing his thing, but he's lacking teammates on the high ground, and he can't deliver them healing at this time. Now he needs to help out his Tracer. Soon avoids his orbs for now, but Wins has fallen to Sharik. One player up on that point, and that's really all there is right now. Valetaji was there with Sharik, should I say, but he drops down. Valu gets out, but 1/3 is not something to sniff at this stage. Capture progress already started.
Yeah, third of the way through is definitely something they can be proud of, though. Obviously, they're going to be looking for a little bit longer. Wins getting caught out there just before with the blade. Cruz just couldn't cover the distance to actually catch it. Unco was able to just back off in time, which could have been a completely different story by now. But you can see, look at this. They're actually letting Wins get all the final healing off. Unco's not healing his teammates because he realizes how important it is for Wins to get this trance up.
Backs well. He knows he's got a fairly low health teammate. He's being harassed down. He puts the Discord on Cruz, and at least it's responded to. AKM's able to help out there, and that should stop eUnited now as well. It's not enough to justify them really committing to this fight. And yet, Primal Rage comes out for Sharik. He pace knocks up against the wall. This is turned around on a dime. eUnited now up on that point. They have 2/3 of the capture progress. I thought it was all done. But even after a 1-for-1 trade, they decided they were going to commit to this fight. This is huge. 3 minutes and 55 seconds on the clock. What a fantastic read. They'd lost their Genji player. They decided that it was sufficient to trade a Zenyatta for him. They exacerbated the lack of healing on the side of Rogue. And Sharik just went absolutely ham.
I don't know how Boombox survived that. We had Nox jump directly towards him on the high ground. He had a sliver of HP left, but he turned around. He got bumped. I want to say that was by Cruz playing the D.Va, or whoever the hell was playing the D.Va there, and he actually just ignored him. He left that one, and he had 70 HP remaining, which forced now the side of Rogue to spam heal him up. And when you're healing him, you're not healing other targets, and that's when Boombox, that's when Cruz, that's when Valo and Unfix all chimed in to pick up those kills.
And they potentially had a real window sort of a bit earlier on, actually. The first fight could have been one that was in their favor, and they got that 1/3 of catch progress as well. And that's really important. It's important to know when to hold them and to fold them. If you've got a bit of progress, you can back away. You know, it's going to take far less time. And that also puts more pressure on the enemy team. It's going to force those ults out easier.
So interesting that actually Boombox sits behind the entire team. Usually it's the Lucio player because you're the one that's looking at everyone's screens to tell you when to go in, when we should push, when we should back away. But it's him doing it. So maybe he's using that vision to see where everyone is so he can get more kills.
And of course, like when you're playing Zenyatta in that case, your teammates' models are not transparent, right? They're quite opaque. So quite often I've noticed him just spamming in the direction that he believes the enemies are going to be because he's physically, his line of sight is being blocked by his teammates. But he's also really aware that he's going to die a lot, or that he's going to be focused down. He wants to try and utilize his team setup to protect him as much as possible.
I can hear Swoosh right now saying, "That's Boombox." He's picking up those kills constantly. I hope someone makes that into a meme eventually. We do see, though, a switch up eUnited. Mort going to be on the Zenyatta. Boombox going to be on the Ana here. Rogue's going back to Unco with the Zen and wins back to Lucio. It's going to be a tough hold here for United, but I think they can pretty much assume they're not going to be able to hold this first point, but they want to waste as much time as they possibly can. Unfixed, that's back to the Battlefield 4 days. I swear, we've casted so many times with them, these little cracks they have to shoot from, and they make those kills work.
Yeah, they're pretty crazy like that, I'm not going to lie. But we actually have a defensive Zenyatta here for Mort, so this is interesting. This is the point of difference between Rogue and the United setup here. Unco's looking for a bit of early damage to get through, but they're going to dive in. This is Rogue. No ifs or buts about it. No nonsense, no small talk. They're going to get right in the face of United and try and do as much damage as possible. And so far, it has worked out pretty well. But Sharik and Cruz fight back now. A 3v3 situation on the point. Wynn's not sure whether to proceed, but it seems as if Unco wants to keep going. Great boot connect, and Unco finds Sharik. A 3v3, Rogue Wynn that went out with 2 supports.
They're taking the objective. Focus our defense.
So first attack, and it's successful for Rogue. No ultimates at all, actually. Soon's ultimate that's even relatively close to it. So both teams going to be relatively similar when it comes to this fight and how it's going to happen. Now Boombox has to somehow stay protected. But more, look at this. They actually switch him back to the Lucio. So they get rid of the Zen that they were using. He had no ult percent anyways, but it shows that they really want to switch things up and switch it now so they can be safe.
Not miss out on any time to be charging up those sound barriers and the like. Rogue probably will try and force something out here, or try and just go aggressive quickly. It's a dry fight, so they may as well just go for it here. Wins gets doused, of course, in that nasty purple chemical, and he has to back away for a moment there. The boop, let's buy him a little bit of space, and while Nox finds Unfixed, this could be the opening that Rogue are looking for now. Body grenade thrown up on the high ground. Rogue are looking pretty darn good here. They've found the picks. It's a brilliant start to the fight. They've got to go for the point here. They can really start to pressure things down quite nicely. Valutage is trying to do what he can on this point. The pulse bomb! He gets himself 2! Wins and Nox joined at the hip, but that's not a good thing in this case. Still, Rogue have players on the point, but that has made things so much harder for them. AKM with attack fires from up above, though. This is a very good vantage point, and his aim is also very good. It's a nano blade on the point to try and keep things going. The Transcendence now being forced out from Unco. He's going to try and keep his team alive through this, and so far it's worked pretty well. Cruz only found AKM. Rogue is still 2/3 on this point, and they're counting.
Nico still has his blade, and he's looking at this kill. He gets an Unfixed who just popped his visor. He's going to get moved into the air, but he's chasing more back. You can see there's still constant healing coming in, but him in tandem with Nox is going to force Boombox back. They're going to lock this out the Maze trying to come in, who's going to be Cruz and Rogue. They're going to most likely finish this one off.
Now, Valley Tiger as well. It's admirable to find a kill on towards Nico, but they resorted to use a D.Va for nothing but stall tactics. The May was also there. Unfixed is desuited. Soon committed a pulse bomb to that one. They're only going to take a little bit more time, and Rogue are just snowballing this fight. They're getting every kill. There's nothing eUnited can do. Again, the point is contested briefly by Cruz, who goes into ice block. Mort drops down, though. He fell to the flailing fists of Nox. The point is still contested, but of course, it's a pesky May curtain in the way. Now, 5 players for Rogue up on this point. They're going to keep trying to fight this through. Valitaja gets discorded here, trying to turn back around. He's dealt with fairly quickly. It's good stall. It's buying a lot of time here, but it may not be enough. Nico's found a kill, and that's going to be it. Rogue are more than happy to get their hands dirty and brawl, and they've got themselves about a minute advantage here on the clock.
Valo, even with that double kill, it just was not enough. That tack visor out of AKM locked down that point for them. If he wasn't in that position on the high ground, if he wasn't able to get those 2 kills, especially Mort, who was trying to go high ground too on the Lucio, that could have been a completely different story. Cruz had his Dragon Blade ready to go. Unfix had his visor ready to go. Valu, who just used a pulse bomb, was able to respawn back in. But AKM almost single-handedly just won on that point and won him this practically, what, 1 minute advantage?
Yeah, Unco's timing on the Transcendence was also quite good there because he was on the point and Rogue had been brawling for a little bit prior to that. But as soon as he sees the nano boosted Cruz coming with the Dragon Blade, he knew it was time to let that one go. Cruz still killed 1 player through it, but it could have been a lot nastier if that Transcendence wasn't present. So that was very clutch.
I think I like the Ana pickup for United there at the last point, just because it allows Sherrick, who has been playing an amazing Winston this entire tournament, to be more aggressive. Because you throw in the bio grenade, he lands with it, he also hits people with the bio grenade, and then he can pick up those kills by himself, and then the spam healing out of Boombox will stop him from dropping. But unfortunately, I think the healing was either missing or he just took too much damage with that Discord orb that Wins was able to put on him, or I think it was Unco at the time. And then he overcommitted, he died, and it was a snowball from there.
We're going to head back in one more time now. It's a replay through of Hanamura. Both teams able to finish the map, but Rogue were a bit faster by 1 minute. This means that eUnited have to be the first team to attack now, and they are going to go with their standard composition. Both teams with it. Unco going to be on the Ana here.
So pretty much exactly what they did the first time on this defense. eUnited, though, need to figure out how they want to attack maybe a little bit differently here. You can see Boombox trying to maybe catch people off towards the side. He actually does connect on AKM's head, which might force him out of his position, which we saw AKM drop before to join with his teammates. But when he did that, it allowed eUnited to get a lot of value after jumping after that same target in that same position.
Unco hit a nice sleep and then followed it up with a really good bite of grenade. So he bought a few valuable seconds there. But soon finding Cruz, it's going to make things a bit hard. Valu's happy to hang around here if he can actually get a pick for this. But now that Nox is in his way, he knows he needs to get out. Or die. It's either one.
Both work out, right? Except the death calls you another 10 seconds to wait, and eUnited are struggling to make their way through this doorway. They realize they can't jump towards this top left-hand side, so maybe push up towards the right then, go into that small little corridor. Again, the problem with that will be that Unco can hit an amazing bio grenade when you have no shield to protect. So United's trying to stay spread out, trying to use this left side to their advantage, where Nox has been doing a great job of actually protecting AKM, so he can maintain the position. But now with the healing, Unco's attention was turned just for a second too long, and Nico goes down.
Him out of the picture here. This might make it a little bit harder, and soon forged very deep to try and find an advantage. Now Unfix dropped down, but still that's not really enough to dissuade United from continuing to come forward. AKM gets dashed right on through, and Cruz just back in the air. Does notice that some of his teammates are getting hit by the Bionic grenade, but still wants to keep his distance here. Charge through, looking for an opportunity to come forward, and there it is. Valitaja finds Wins, and eUnited looks like they've hit pay dirt on this push.
It's just, I mean, that was just great. Like you saw Unco, he was trying to heal Nox. In the meantime, Nico went a little bit too aggressive. There had to have been miscommunication there, where Nico should have backed off a little bit earlier, but once he fell, soon was behind the enemy team of eUnited. They turned around, killed him, and pushed that advantage. But now look at this, Mitch. We do have Transcendence, we do have Pulse Bomb, we do have Dragon Blade, and there's no trance because Wins has just switched over to the Zenyatta. This could be eUnited getting themselves another point.
Yeah, this is it's a window. It's an opportunity, albeit a
big
small
window
one.
right now.
eUnited, yeah. I mean, eUnited have to really execute this well, though. They've got the ultimates. They can't waste them, because if they use them up and get nothing, then they're in deep, deep trouble. It's going to have to be pretty soon that they go, and you can see that they're setting up. Valitaja off towards the side has already been harassed down slightly by Soon. That's why it was below 100 HP. And Nico really wants to try and turf out this upper area. Even the jump in there as well from Nox is trying to make things happen, but it's the Dragon Blade. AKM goes down. That's a brilliant start for Cruz. It was backed up by the sound barrier. Now to deal with Nico. Get rid of that suit so Unfix can go for the tack visor, but he couldn't find a kill yet. With the Transcendence now being forced out for eUnited, they're going through a lot of these ultimates.
Unfix, he's using tack visor, but he's not in a position to use it because he's constantly getting knocked away. But that's Unco going down. They've lost the support, but so has the side of eUnited with more folly. Cruz is able to pick up some more kills, but now AKM popping the attack visor himself, and he's actually not doing too much damage on this one because everyone's using the cover, and Shrek's able to knock him away with the Primal Rage to keep him off the point.
AKM thought he had it covered. He was up behind him on the high ground, but Shrek just jumps right on in them and makes him flat as you like. This is looking pretty good now for eUnited up on the point, but Wins finds Valitaja. It don't matter though, he's taken down. They're going to have this point. This is brilliant stuff. They need to get this finished though. The store's going to start. No, it's not. 4 points. 4 points, and Mort's starting to get a little bit ladsy across the booth. This is going to get real good.
And they finish with 121 left too. So they have the opportunity to go for another attack if Rogue can complete. Now, United, they need to have a better first point hold. They let that one go off the get-go, and they were never able to put up a good second point defense. Maybe switch things up. Maybe change position a little bit here because Rogue walked all over them. They have to hold, I'd say, for like at least 2 minutes, minute and a half, 2 minutes on this first point, and then still have enough ultimates to hold on second.
It does look to me like Rogue had the right idea trying to secure that high ground by actually setting Nico and Nox over there to clear off Unfixed, I think it was. That actually opened the way for AKM to position himself there as well. But the problem is, if you have a Primal Rage Winston, it's as good as having a defense matrix. You can block line of sight, you can cop damage, you can get in someone's face, and he actually ultimately landed on AKM, and he would have had a bubble there as he came out of Primal Rage. So it's hard to deal with.
What's so rough is that they sent the Diva from Nico and Nox on the Winston after Unfixed to push him out of that position. When you don't have the Diva protecting your back line, your wins, your Unco, when you have Valo there on the Tracer, you have Unfixed trying to do some damage to there, and you have Cruz there as well, there's just no way our supports are going to survive. They're going to be forced back into spawn or they're going to die. So that little bit of a trade-up, that little bit of a tug and pull, that tug of war that happened between the two opposing forces of the team allowed eUnited to get the point.
And eUnited now are here to show Rogue that even though they might have left European shores, the rest of Europe have been keeping up and they've been battling it out now. They have the pride of their whole region on their shoulders to prove that they still have what it takes to be top competition in the global scene. Rogue are going to have to attack here. And it's going to have to be pretty quick about it too, to be honest with you. That second push was sick from eUnited. Now again though, it's a little bit slow. Bit of that early poke coming through here. Cruz looking to get picked off here. A little bit caught out of position, but so is Nico now. He gets landed on. Tesla gun damage is coming straight through here. It's a terrible sound that he makes, and I'm sure he's in pain.
I love how Shark just actually saves his jump and just walks into them and eventually jumps in when he can do some more damage. We're going to see a trade between Cruz and AKM. Shark's going to fall from this. Valo does get a crucial kill on us soon, as well as Cruz locking down Unco. This is going to buy a lot of time for United and Shark to rejoin the fight.
And this is essentially something that eUnited haven't really been able to do before, is actually win that first fight on this point. They've struggled a lot. Rogue have usually breezed through them fairly comfortably as they did the first time through. But this is very, very good. It's a good start, at least.
Valo 80% on his pulse bomb compared to Soon at 58%. See Unco at 55, so they have the chance. Boombox could go huge though if he hits a good anti, which you see him actually able to catch it onto Nox there. And Mort's at 70% on his trance. Mort, if he can just connect a couple of shots, or get a couple of meat shots, and if he has his trance up this fight, this should be a 1-5 for United. But he's already been focused down. There's no protection for him. A Shark comes in, helps him out.
Yeah, Mort though, the Mort damage was really nice there. He got the Discord orb on and got the damage across the line. Still though, Rogue are able to sustain themselves despite the loss of that tank initiation. Unfixed got Discord and he hung around for far too long there. That's an error in positioning. He was so vulnerable standing right there. Valu trades out 76ers though, and Mort again is playing a dangerous game. Soon is not going to let him get away with this one. Bionic grenade from Boombox on himself just to try and stay alive here. But eUnited look to be in taxes this time around, and Rogue will have the point. They still are going to be under the pump.
See, okay, Mort, he had his Transcendence available, but I like what his call that he made. He's like, all right, we're going to lose this point. We lost too much DPS. I'm going to save my Trance for the next fight, so we can stop this route. We can stop them from taking the point extremely quickly, and we can maybe wear it down on them. So they keep their ultimates. They don't use a single one of them. They have the Nano Visor, or sorry, the Nano Blade. Nano Visor as well in just a few seconds if they want to use it. But Unco has his Trance ready to go.
It's going to be a cold, hard winter on the homestead, Jason, and eUnited are going to need to learn how to ration these ultimates through, or use them willy-nilly. Either way, let's hope it works out for them to keep this one going. Sound barrier here for Rogue. A lot of ultimates committed to this fight. Unfixed went down to the pulse bomb first of all. Nico's in a great position to deal some death, and you better believe that's exactly what he does. Mort is not going to get away from that. Nico runs the riot. Sharik and Boombox again tend to contribute in these later fight situations. Wins is quite vulnerable down there, but Nox is on the point. The capture has begun.
They're going to lose some percent here, but they should be able to maintain this one because they picked up more than enough kills. And Unfix has his Visor ready to go. I mean, I'm still really confused because Mort used his Trance, but Nico just held on to his Blade. I think maybe there was a Visor of AKM that caused him to use this, but then Wins respawns as the Transcendence is going with a Sound Barrier right after it finishes. And it was pretty much just a big shove between both support cores for these two teams. But honestly, Boombox picking up, I think it was like 2 kills before he did fall, helped eUnited hold on a little bit longer.
Yeah, he and Sharik there as well in the later stages were quite important.
Sharik's maximizing damage on Winston so well. Like, the way he jumps and always lands on targets is like Miro-esque.
Let's see if he can continue to live up to the name, Jason. That's a big claim, there's no doubt about it. Nox is caught in the middle of a heck of a lot of action here, but it's been a good start to the fight. With Winston and Nico down, it's a very swift exit stage left for Rogue.
All right, so now we're looking at guaranteed less time for Rogue than eUnited will have if they can't finish the map. They're still staggered off kills left and right, and ACAM just trying to back away. If he gets slept here.
Unco almost created an opening there for Rogue to actually come back and do something with that. He found 2 quick kills on his own before he was finally forced down. There could have been more there. eUnited might have made a big mistake. But now we're under a minute here, so Rogue are almost going to be, you know, on parity with eUnited time-wise if there's any sort of stall here. This is great. These 2 teams are neck and neck on this map.
Unco almost has Trance though, and Mort's still struggling to pick his up. Boombox is actually trying to still get his nano up. Unfixed though has been sitting on his tack visor for a while, and that pulse one coming through is not going to connect.
Yeah.
It was escaped from. It looks like Rogue might be able to get this high ground control. They're trying to get ACAM in a position to use this visor when he does get it up.
Well, the fight's going to start now. So that pulse bomb was avoided. Valutage recalled and removed the bomb itself. And Soon was able to find Sharik in response. Soon as well. Keep an eye on him in this next fight. This Transcendence comes out from Unco, and you know, try and back away from it a little bit there, but Mort's down, so that may not even matter. Nico gets body grenaded in the back line, and Unfix gets the finish. Cruz going big, gets on towards AKM. He identifies the biggest threat right now is the 76 on the high ground, and Valu's able to follow up here. What a great read from eUnited here. They're playing on a knife edge, but it's working, and Wins get staggered. Now eUnited are in the lead on this map. They are ahead in time, and they could hold on this point.
They got Unku's Trance out, and Cruz just sat on his blade ready to go. Now AKM is going to have his visor. Wins will have the sound bear, so they at least have one support ultimate to use into this fight. But Boombox has nano. Unfix has his visor. They have this nano visor combo that's going to completely shut this down. Nox somehow has to push Unfix out of position and use his ultimate to keep him out of the fight. This is going to be so tough for Rogue to hold on to, or for to capture this point at all.
The window of opportunity for Rogue may be shut. eUnited have exactly what they need to sustain through the damage, and now it's time to see that theory put to the test. Rogue are going to group up here. They have key ultimates. Dragon Bait's there, and the sound barrier is going to come out first. Boombox didn't connect the sleep dart, so he's going to have to be careful. He's trying to back away. He's going to give away the nano boost as quickly as he possibly can, and the Transcendence is being used on the point there. That allowed Unfix to find Nox, and Rogue, they're a mess. They don't even have time to really regroup. They've got to go for it now with everything that they've got, but Soon falls into Mort's crosshairs and comes out second best. Now we're into overtime. Rogue are going to have to be on the point, and eUnited need to stop them here. But Mort is out of the picture right now. Valutage turns it around. AKM's on the high ground, but he needs to drop to the point. He's got no choice to make himself vulnerable to keep this round going, and he falls to Valutage. He's got the freedom now to blink around the point and do damage. Nox tries to hide in his bubble, but there's no solace for the Winston. Only silence, only the end, and only a one more map in this series. eUnited have stayed alive with an incredibly impressive performance on Hanamura. That was a stunning way to stay in this series.
We finally got a series on our hands, boys. Finally got one going here as they've been able to take that map and take it one step further. 2-1 currently for Rogue. Rogue still one map away. And Cruz, again, being very smart, being very patient with his blade. Once that Trance came down, he knew they had a one fight if they could just stall. And even AKM towards the end, popping his visor, but he was looking for one target down that stairway, and that one target could just keep jiggling left and right, constantly keep him shooting at him, and if AKM's not paying attention, he'll eventually die. So AKM, unfortunately, just not in the greatest of spots to use that one, and just really well done by eUnited to really pull things together, considering how close they are to being that forever second.
In all fairness, we actually speculated that the defining factor of that fight would actually be more centered around the ultimate bank of support ultimates that eUnited had. It actually wasn't. It came down to early picks, and eUnited did something very Rogue-esque. We often see Rogue try and start fights with the use of the sound barrier going through, but eUnited actually caught Rogue mid-step. They engaged on them. They threw something a little bit spicy, a bit of a curveball, and while Rogue were trying to engage, they got split heavily. And when we see things like AKM being forced to drop down onto the point to try and contest, you are so susceptible to a tracer like Value who can just run rings around you.
But Mitch now, this means Rogue gets to choose map.
Oh, I know what they're choosing.
And you know we're going to hybrid.
Yeah, it's
and you know what map means.
It's going to be Nambani.
It's going to be Nambani. This is going to be such a tough feat for eUnited to come back. I mean, it's going to be so difficult. If eUnited wants to really challenge themselves and push themselves to win this grand finals, this is definitely the map to go to against Rogue, to prove to everyone that they're the best team in Europe, to beat Rogue on a map that they're heavily favored to win.
It's not even this map is necessarily the Achilles heel of eUnited. In fact, it's quite a good one for them. It's just the fact that this is like a home map for Rogue. This and Gibraltar are Rogue's strongest maps, and they are just astonishingly effective, and they almost seem to have a mental lexicon of all of the potential situations they could encounter. They have faced cheese on that map on this weekend, completely unfazed by C9's Orisa Torbjorn play. They've dealt with everything on this map, and they always seem to know how to deal with it. they barely take a break in stride before they execute.
That's what C9 said to us, right? Is the fact that they tried something cheesy against them on Numbani, but because they played it so many times, there was no way the cheese was actually going to work, and they planned to play a little bit more standard if they were able to meet them again on Numbani. So didn't work out for Cloud9. Hopefully eUnited have something up their sleeve. I still would love to see... No, go back in your room. Get out of here.
You got a game to play. Put your headset back on.
I would love to see maybe like a Fair Mercy come out, because we know eUnited can play it. Maybe not necessarily for that first point, but depending on how we see Rogue set up, it can still work. We know Unfix can play Fair. We know Mort can play Mercy. But then that kind of forces Boombox to maybe play a hero he doesn't necessarily want to play, or he doesn't have as much impact potential, because his Zenyatta has been flawless.
His Ana's not been too shabby either. We definitely can't count him out, but Unko is arguably one of the better players in the European scene, and in fact, if not the world. I think there's only probably a few more names you could put there above him. He's just an expert. He's just a specialist, Jason. And again, what United really need to avoid happening here is getting staggered out. That was what Rogue managed to do to them there as well. They're very good at building momentum or finding ways to manifest momentum out of seemingly nothing at some times as well. It's just a good start to the fight. And then they're very good at identifying positions where the enemy might be out of step, slightly off kilter, or even not quite in time. And as well, they're very good at also exacerbating like bad spawns, I guess, if teams spawn a little bit too close. On Numbani, it's not as bad. It's not as punishing as it is maybe for the second stage of Gibraltar, for example. But they did this last time. They ran ahead after they captured the point. They knew there'd be a couple late spawns that would be still in that second phase and quite in dangerous territory, and they find them.
See, it's funny. We're thinking completely different things, because you're thinking about the second phase and the third phase of Numbani. I'm thinking about the first phase for United to successfully attack. Because I'm wondering, can they use the Winston D.Va combo, but obviously Cruz is the one who's been playing D.Va, but have still the Genji in there, the Genji Tracer? Because we know how strong the Winston D.Va can be, so that means Unfixed, who previously has been able to play D.Va, would have to play D.Va now without showing it the entire tournament, and then Cruz would have to stay on the Genji.
We've seen a bit of D.Va from Unfixed.
Yeah, in the past. I don't know if have we seen him in the tournament so far?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Well,
mostly on like maps like Village and stuff in Nepal. It's definitely been more niche, but we actually know when we had both teams play D.Vas on Nepal.
That was Cruz, though. That was Cruz. 100%.
Oh, you're exactly right.
Yeah, so Unfixed needs to be the one to play D.Va here, and Cruz has to stay on the Genji if they want to go for that 2-2-2 attack onto the high ground. Because the triple DPS, I don't know if that's going to work. And you cannot run a soldier and a tracer on Numbani on attack.
Yeah, well identified. I actually hadn't thought about that at all. It's actually a role that Unfix sort of used to play in his team.
But he hasn't been showing it. So that makes me wonder, is he practiced in it?
So many questions.
Yep.
So many questions. There are only so many ways to find answers. Right now, there are a couple of discussions happening inside the booths you can see amongst the teams. I think eUnited definitely wanted to try and get a bit of fresh air here. It looks like Mort's got
a cupcake or something? No, he's eating healthy, so it's probably like a...
He might be just cleaning this. Oh, he's just getting some water and stuff for the guys as well. He's got something in his hand, but I think maybe that's just to clean the keyboard, or I don't really know. No, okay, he got himself some pumice or something. Grapes, right. Yeah. He's such a healthy guy as well. It's funny, that those guys, in Valley Tiger as well, but I don't know if it's like a Dutch thing, or I was talking to Mort about it, but he was just eating a bunch of fruits and vegetables.
We've been sitting here eating like cupcake or muffins and...
Well, I don't know about you, mate. I've been getting microwave rice and chicken strips from the Rev.
Okay, I have been eating muffins. Yeah, I've been enjoying this time away from my diet, but...
No, what I was saying is like he said to me, he's like, I'm not a vegetarian or anything like that. That's not it. It's just that I find it's really important to stay healthy, where quite often at events like this, people are drinking a lot of energy drinks, and eating a lot of catering and stuff like that. He really values that sort of strength of mind that comes from sort of being quite healthy. So a bit of a side note there as well, but I did find that quite notable. Moore is he's a slave driver, though, with his team. He makes him practice a lot, but he's got a very a good approach, I think, to being a pro gamer in general.
Compared to Rogue, though, they have a nutritionist as well. And she's actually been a big help to a lot of them. They've even mentioned, like, going to the gym,
Yeah, they brought over a fitness trainer, didn't they? A personal trainer. So I like that. More teams are heading in that direction. You've got teams that bring in psychologists, exactly. And that's, I guess, just ways that you start to build the foundations of an infrastructure of a team. Although I can't really see... Liz getting too much done with some of the Rogue players. I don't know how receptive they are to perhaps eating their greens and lifting a dumbbell or two. But it's definitely important to have her there, of course, for their state of mind. And let's see if that's going to be enough. The mental stamina, the mental fortitude, that true grit is the stuff that champions are made of. Rogue have demonstrated that in the past, and they demonstrated that last year here at the TakeOver, albeit a slightly different roster. Now it's time for eUnited to ascend to that same point and show what they've been working on, really, not even just in terms of the game, but up in their noggins.
All right, so we will have eUnited on the attack, not Rogue. We will have Rogue on the defense here. The names we know they are wrong, but those will be swapped in a few seconds. And we're looking like eUnited's going to be running the standard triple DPS dive that they always have become known to. Not going to be switching up a diva, not trying to change anything last second. So maybe it's a case of play what you know and hope that it works out for you, though. Nabani can be definitely a tough map for them. But we're about to kick things off here, Mitch. This could be our last stand here for Rogue. They could potentially pick up the entire tournament victory here, all on this map.
This is where it may end or it may begin a great comeback for eUnited. There are so many possibilities from here and only one will be decided at the end of this map. Let's see. Of course, we're going to switch the names at the top when we can because, of course, it's going to be eUnited in the red and Rogue in the blue. There we go, look at that. That's damn quick. Sharik now going to set up here as well. Just a bit of damage being done and he drops to the point. This is going to force positioning from Rogue. I kind of like this knock on the front door strategy if there's a good follow-up.
Oh, there we go. Sharik going to jump straight in. He gets the pounce directly on AK, and that initial kill is going to be huge for eUnited. They need to solidify into a couple more with Nico falling. I think that's going to do it. I think eUnited are going to take this first point on the first attack, and that's the first burden off their shoulders.
That's what they need to do. It's a brilliant start. You can see Soon got a little bit too close to the monkey of Sharik there and actually had to back away. I don't think he had a recall chance. We just had to dash out. Perfect start for eUnited. They're on the board and they're on the road.
Wow, it was 70% looking to push up, I would have guessed, out of him. Maybe look for a cheeky pulse bomb or two. Unko's still sticking to the Ana, though. So Nico's going to have an opportunity. If they can keep building up this ultimate to be ahead of Boombox, to have that window to make a successful attack. But look at Soon, he's actually in the backside. He's actually very aggressive here, where Boombox has been able to win out these trades quite a few times, but the entire team of eUnited going to turn. Soon's going to fall. He bought some time. It also costs now Rogue a lot of positioning.
Yeah, and you're right. Rogue probably would want to jockey back a little bit after that. I would
assume.
Generally, but maybe that's not the case. Yeah, Nox now going to back away. This may be an overextension, perhaps overconfidence from Rogue. They already lost their Tracer player, and yet they still wanted to try and push. That has not worked at all.
Thing is, think back to the beta, Mitch. eUnited noticed Fnatic then. This was one of their better maps. They always picked it against Melty, who was the team that always rivaled with and butted heads with back then. And they're showing it still can be a strong map for them now, even under a different name, under a different roster.
Well, it helps that they get the first point as well.
So
they can actually play the rest of the map properly. They can actually do some escort gameplay, which of course is what benefited them quite nicely on Route 66 and made it close. Cruz Dragonblade here, he wants to go for something. He doesn't have a lot of information about how Rogue is set up here, but he wants to go regardless. Forced to reflect, one slash gets the job done. Unko's dealt with. Cruz, though, is going to have to give himself up as a result.
Oh, Nox about half HP here as well. He needs to get healed back up, but Unko's already dead, and that's the big man they need to heal, and Unfix is trying to go for this one-on-one, but he's being forced back. The shield comes down, and Nox is going to be able to shove him back, pressure him away, and look for Morris. Morris is just going to speed away back to the payload. He's going to fall too soon. And the aggression that United had, the momentum is going to be shut down, but they still have 5 ultimates here, Mitch. They still have everything they need to close this out. But Shark, he gets himself a double kill. AKM's one of the few men remaining.
Yeah, that was big. It was also the damage from Boombox as well. That's not good. Point blank range. The Helix rocket blows up in his face, and that's not how it was designed to be used. It's all gone wrong for Rogue. Now they're going to give up another point, and eUnited are hurtling at breakneck speed towards the end of this map. Rogue now are the ones that must compose themselves.
Shark again, he's just laying down his dominance. He's played so well this entire tournament. He's just doing it yet again here in the grand finals. They still have so many ultimates to use. Unko, he's looking for his opportunity to use this nano onto most likely Nico for the blade. The problem is you have Boombox ready to go, but no, Boombox is down.
Good start there. Good opening. Soon finds the pulse bomb target. Now, if eUnited are going to be honest about it, they're probably going to back up here. Give Rogue a chance to set up. And you can see they're still getting damage done. And this is not exactly safe position for eUnited. They have to go up to the high ground. And you can see on the wireframe, Rogue noticed you're going up to meet them there.
All right, so United need to be very careful about their ultimates. Cruz, he's not going to have his blade. Boombox again, being focused on by Soon. Actually, I don't even know where that kill happened, but in the meantime, they got to back up again. United just lost another minute of time because they keep getting picked off one by one. Boombox dying twice in a row, and the rest of them are going to fall, which has now bought time for Rogue to build up a huge bank, a huge war chest of ultimates.
They really need to keep an eye on Soon. I think that's obviously putting it pretty clearly. You guys probably know that from seeing it, but Soon can jump down from up above as well. Rogue actually have that high ground control as well. United actually didn't really contest it in that last little fight, so he has a lot of options.
To be fair to Soon, though, he has a 3-second window from dropping down to get that kill, or else he's going to die because he cannot get away in time. He's going to recall, he's going to be on the ground, so he has only 3 seconds to pick up that kill, get away, and stay safe. Otherwise, he's putting his team at a deficit in a 6-on-5 situation.
You've got to be aware of where you're going to recall back to when you use it. Sometimes it doesn't always get you out of trouble if you use it incorrectly. So the payload's pushing here. Rogue have allowed this to occur for now. Pulse bomb's dropped on the payload, and Soon's doing so much in these fights. He's the first to respond, and he's also the first to get kills, and that's forced the Transcendence out. And guess what? Rogue just back off. They're starting to play eUnited like a fiddle here.
Nico has Blade too, but he's not even going to use it because they realize they've been able to win this fight. Now Boombox is going to be focused on it yet again. And eventually he will fall to Nox. Oh, maybe not. Actually, Soon able to get those 2 kills. And Nox may be overcommitted, but he will have Soon to help guide him out as well as Unco to heal him up. eUnited are struggling just to even get around this corner.
Yeah, they've got to shake their nerves off here. They're getting started on too easy. Maybe they could take a leaf out of Rogue's book and actually start the fight for themselves here instead of just sort of passively sitting on the payload and trying to disengage and respond. Maybe they actually need to be the ones that take the risk and take the plunge.
Cruz Blade ready to go. There's going to be no chance to actually stop him. There's no sleep, or there's going to be only a sleep dart. There's no sound barrier, and Cruz has to go big here. He's looking for some kills. You can see Nico still holding on to his blade. Cruz gets one, Boombox gets one as well. Nico's going to fall eventually here, I would imagine, with the help of his visor, but they save their ultimates because they know, we're going to lose this fight. At least this one, we forced them to use a ton of their ultimates, and we have that last stand. We have that last defense now with 4 ults ready to go.
That made it very costly for eUnited, and that's why Nico was more than happy to hold on to it. It's almost like it was a moment where he considered using it, but that's still positive for Rogue. They're still stalling this out nicely. They can bring this to a screeching halt right here. It's definitely possible. Unco, though, gets kind of jumped on to start with, and Cruz was able to deal with them early on. Now those ultimates are coming out. Wins actually start to flex those guns. 2 pick-offs for him, and that's Rogue setting up here on the payload pretty happily. 2 minutes still on the clock for eUnited, so still a decent pace. A couple of those ultimates are out of Rogue. Now they can try to apply a bit more pressure.
Cruz switching to Diva. Interesting here. So you realize this. Actually, I'm actually kind of surprised with that for the fact that you have the ability to get these resets because there's no transcendence to stop you.
No, but the problem is that the Genji's kind of rough on this last point to use because it's really hard to flank properly. You don't have any good routes to do it. A lot of players have said they're more than happy to do it. In fact, Bishop said he recommends it as well to see that Diva come out instead. Play for a bit more of control and just to slow roll these fights a bit more. So Nox is going to get involved in this one. Primal Rage as well, and he's very much in the thick of things. There's a mosh pit, but he wasn't invited. Now he's being ejected from it. Boombox and Unfix have opened up this one well. Now Deco up on the high ground. Going to get rocketed pretty much straight away with the Discord Orb. This is good for eUnited. Again, though, ultimates were committed for Rogue. Winter's gone for the sound barrier here, but it might be to no avail. And Mort has that available for eUnited here. They have the lead in ult economy. They have the player advantage now, and it's time to finish the job done. They have to execute on this.
Rogue have no ultimates to stop this. They have no ultimates to stop this drop because Unfix popping the visor. There's not even a Diva to stop the damage from coming down. They're 4 meters away soon. Jumping back on the payload, but it doesn't matter. Follow takes him down. Even a sound barrier being popped. They have a trance. They just need to survive these next few seconds so they can close out this map.
Unco up on the payload there as well. He knows he needs to back away. He needs to leave Wins there. Now they're going to try and stagger one at a time. Players on this payload to keep the time going. We're under a minute now. AKM with attack visor. This might be the Hail Mary they were looking for. Mort strays from the protective bubble and takes a heck of a lot of damage. And eUnited are forced into a full-scale retreat. But Cruz is not going to be so lucky. They're going to keep him around for a while. Going to put him in a box, a shoe box, poke some holes in the top for air, or maybe even get some leaves in there to keep him alive, just to make it sting that much more for eUnited.
Boombox didn't even use his trance either. Looks like he wanted to save it. Looks like they realized they lost that fight because Cruz, who had his self-destruct, didn't use it at all. Unco only at 40% of his ult. They have only Soon that's available. I'm imagining that eUnited should know the economy of Rogue in terms of ults and also supports in particular. If Cruz can place this self-destruct perfectly, we could be saying goodbye here to Rogue and we could see eUnited finish, but it's only going to be in overtime. There's no way they're going to do it before that.
They've come far, eUnited, they have,
Soon.
but they're not done yet. Notice that Soon's right behind him as well. He's in a great flanking position. The self-destruct coming in over the top. That's going to force AKM to back away. Soon's been spotted. Valu needs to get out. He's too low on health to deal with this, and the Pulse Bomb finally comes through. Unfix is felled. Nico with a Dragon Blade, and this is all going right for Rogue. Nico finds 3 in that fight, and it's a heroic effort and a fantastic finish from Rogue to stop eUnited here. There's no way to getting back in time. They have prevented eUnited from finishing the map, and that sets them up now. 1 goal. Finish Numbani, take the series, and take their second TakeOver title.
Very close at the end. I still wonder what was going on in the comms in that second to last fight when they could have finished things off, potentially finished things off. They had Boombox with his trance ready to go. Violet got picked off immediately from the attack visor, but he ideally should have been saved if Boombox just popped the trance at the same time he heard the visor being used. But obviously, I can't hear what's going on within the communications, but the call was to just back away, I think, after they lost Valu and just reset and go for another try. But hey, getting that first point, having that utter domination onto the second, and then struggling at the third is still a lot of progress, and it's still going to be difficult for Rogue to push to that point.
Yeah, and in the same way that finishing the map and actually completing that last point was difficult for eUnited, it is going to be for Rogue, and that's, as I said, sort of based on the way the map works. Genji struggles to really have an impact or be able to penetrate that last point properly. So for eUnited now, the first plan of attack is full hold first point. That would be ideal. In that event, if maybe they don't think they can do that, then they think more of a stall mentality, right? We're not going to see them switch to anything like tanks. There's no point they're doing that. They're out here. This is their last chance There's no point switching out, but again, every second counts up on this first point, especially given the fact that they breeze straight through it themselves. If they can exceed Rogue on every part of the map, then they're good.
If they can just win this first crucial fight, if they can manage their ultimates correctly, then they can stall out the first point for a hell of a long time.
Great point. That first fight hold on
So
Hanamura
crucial.
defense for eUnited actually was what set them up ultimately to win the game. They couldn't have known that. But it was quite a rare thing to see them be able to hold Rogue off.
It looks like it will be pretty much mirror comps here for both teams. Still no Divas. Nico's going to be sitting on the Genji. Diva can still be fairly good here on this point, but they want to commit to what they know, that triple DPS setup. And look at this. Valu wants to get aggressive early on. He wants to get some early damage in. Maybe get that post bomb just a few seconds earlier than soon. It also might cost them if they actually get overcommitted here. If they get picked off here, they could be so bad, but Cruz is able to get one. He gets Unko down. Most importantly here, Mort's going to follow, but Valu, he's able to chime in another kill. And they need to keep this momentum going, and they're going to have that first point hold they were looking for.
Oh, this is spicy. This is something a little bit different. eUnited maybe saving the best until last. Going aggressive on this point has worked out for them so far, but Valu might be in a compromising position. No, it's a great one. He gets behind Nico just after he got dashed through by Cruz. He was so low that it was an easy pick-off. That is an insult. That's a slap in the face to Rogue, saying, we know how much you like to get aggressive. We're now going to show you we can do it better on defense and waste your time and make you sit there and simmer about the fact that you just got taken by surprise.
All right, Valu, he also needs to channel his inner Soon here. Hit a pulse bomb, you stall for more time, you get Boombox's trance, you get Cruz his Dragon Blade, you get Unfixed towards his visor. The engagement coming back in yet again. ACAM, he's looking to focus down on the monkey. Unfixed gets the initial kill though. That's gonna be a lot of damage take for Sherrick, but that's gonna be ACAM going down. That was great focus onto that man. And now Nox is a little bit too far overcommitted. Mort's able to escape just with the speed alone, and they're gonna stall out that kill a couple of seconds. Here we go. eUnited, 2 minutes and 50 seconds to hold on to take it to that 5th and final map.
The realization now starting to maybe manifest. They're realizing we might be able to go all the way here. 2 successful defensive fights. That's 2 more than Rogue had on the other side of the map. That's a huge advantage. Now, note the ultimate there up for Cruz. The Dragon Blade is present. There's not going to be a Transcendence for Unko. Wins doesn't have a sound barrier, so Cruz can break this apart. Look to him to make the difference in this fight, especially with Valentata now being down. Cruz has got to go big. Boombox and Unfixed are actually the first 2 to open up. Cruz has not found a target yet. He's actually got Nico now, finally. Needs to deal with AKM, who's being zapped up. He's dropped down. It's a messy fight, but it's probably enough for eUnited to be able to sit back on and try and recuperate.
They need to kill Soon. They also need to get rid of Nox. He was able to get the kill on the Boombox. He was trying to save his Transcendence, which luckily for him, the fight will be reset. He'll be able to join back in a few seconds with Mort helping taxi him into this position. But Sherrick, he needs some healing. He needs to run away and get back a little bit more because they need everyone alive. He doesn't want to be forced to use that Primal Rage right now. And now Rogues, they're going to have the position. They have the advantage of being on the point, and eUnited need to re-attack.
Rogue are mad. They are hungry for blood. This insolence from the upstart team of eUnited to hold them at this point will not go unchallenged. Nico's going to look to try and Dragon Blade, but he's forced the Transcendence. He's forced that out there, so that's good for him. And for eUnited, maybe that's risky. Look at this. They can back away and even get themselves a free kill.
Gosh.
No, it wasn't a free kill. Sherrick punishes them. They try and go 3-on-1. Unko gets pasted up against the wall, and Valu finds Soon. Rogue are making so many mistakes here. Judgment errors, maybe overconfidence, too cavalier. But they've got a minute 20 to get this first point, or they'll be full held. And this series will go all the way.
Nico set that up perfectly. He forced a trance out of Boombox. He had his blade ready to go, but the team, they were overcommitted. They got picked up. Valu's looking for a Hail Mary of a pulse bomb. He won't connect, but look how aggressive they're being. They want to fight them here. Fight them on their own terms.
And they forced the Transcendence as well, so far away from the enemy point. Valu's very low and needs to get away. That was maybe Cruz going in without the rest of his team. Communication may have broken down. So this is a limping eUnited getting back towards the point, and they might not be able to do it at all. They're not going to be present for this one and need to accept the fact they probably need to let it go. A bit of stall will work here though. Valu's going to be there. Sherrick drops very early on. Valu does get body slammed. And Rogue are on the road. However, that took them a heck of a long time to get that point. And they really need to breeze through this second phase. And then they can set themselves up to still take this map away. eUnited can't let this get away from them.
Well, because Shark and Valu died, they're going to respawn back in spawn here. This is going to allow Rogue to continue to push up like this and continue to punish them and pressure them like United just did to them in the half prior. United to save ultimates. Cruz is going to have his blade soon. He actually has a giant window between him and Unko of having that trance up, but Wince is going to have that sound barrier to help stop and prevent some damage. But if you get Unfixed, if you can get him on the high ground, right? You get Cruz with the blade ready to go. You can either use Unfixed's ultimate to force Wince to barrier and then blade after, or you can blade right away and then have Unfixed, who has a high ground advantage and can jump around to be able to finish them off.
Unfixed needs to stay alive if he can set up. I don't think he has the high ground yet. That's the problem. Because Rogue is kind of denying that away. Sound Barrier comes out. That was a nice connection with the rocket there, but it's been a trade in the first start of the fight. Both Zenyatas are down. They're both away. Cruz with a Dragon Blade here to find AKM. Another target would be nice, and he's found it. Nico is hiding in the corner. Unfortunately, being emo doesn't keep you alive in Overwatch.
And Cruz can help solidify all of these kills. Now there's 2 minutes left here for Rogue. They don't have a great economy of ultimates to use. All they have is a visor, so they have to go with pure skill to help stop Unfix and hopefully for them, prevent Valor from hitting a sticky. But when they're coming down the street phase, it's so easy as a Tracer to land these pulse storms. You don't need to be soon. You can pull this off. Even you can too. In your bronze games, can make this work.
Thanks, Jason.
It wasn't directed towards you. No one had to know.
Don't you dare. Okay, this is good. eUnited might have found the result. They knew that the solution, sorry. They need to get aggressive. They need to go forward, and they're doing that now. They're going to contest the payload at this particular checkpoint. The Storm's been stellar so far, but it's going to take a little bit more than that to make this one happen. And it's going to be AKM there. He's in a great position to deal out damage. 4 kills with attack visor. eUnited by a scant few seconds there, but that's all. 2 minutes 52 to finish the map. Now we're in the red zone.
And Unfixed, he had his visor, but he could not use it. He got knocked a little bit too low by AKM, who popped it just a second before him, and from that, he had to give that one up. There was no use in wasting that ultimate. So now he's going to have it here where Rogue had to commit everything into that last fight. Nox, he's switching up last second, as well as Nico. So now we see the Reinhardt and the Diva, which gives them a lot of ground, a lot of pushing power, and a lot of staying power that they can't be shoved away from. Even soon now switch over to McCree, a full change here almost out of Rogue, to finish off this map, to finish off this series, and to win the grand finals.
Yep, a little bit of a mix-up here, and Valutaja actually is going to fall foul of the McCree damage with wins. The bubble gets put down, and of course that mitigates soon to a great degree, but Boombox now needs to be very careful. He is endangered species, even more so than he has been this series.
And Wins is saving his speed boost just to help them disengage when eUnited get aggressive, because they have the Diva to mitigate damage, they have the Reinhardt as well, but that's the play. They don't have anything to stop that, as Cruz is going to pick up that initial kill.
Soon going down, and that's straight away Rogue going, we need to back away. It's been said time and time again. McCree is very susceptible to dive. Cruz identified that immediately and was more than happy to trade the kill for a Dragon Blade. One ult ended the fight.
Oh, you can see him off to the side. He has to be very careful here. If he gets flashbanged, if somehow Soon gets this deep onto a flash system, he's going to lose that entire presence, his entire power, because he can go stick Nox right now. You can see him just dashing away from him. He realized Soon was pushing him, and he's able to escape for now. But he goes down, he gets hit with the flash eventually, and Valor dies.
Yep, and eUnited know they need to respond to this now with a Transcendent and a bit of damage, but of course it's going to be answered out by Unco. Both sides have it here. Soon needs to try and back up a little bit. The attack visor is going to rip into straight. Unfix comes in for the back. What a flank that is. No one saw that coming. And Rogue get completely decimated here. 1 minute and 15 on the clock, and eUnited just threw them another curveball they couldn't catch.
And Unco just used Trance. Cruz has Dragon Blade. eUnited, if you do not choke, you can stop this attack in its tracks, and you can stall this out. Boombox! Unco is going to take that kill, and they have the man advantage now. Shark's going to get caught out a little bit. He's on half HP. Cruz might even eventually fall here. Unfix as well, too aggressive, and they're forcing the fight. But Cruz, he loses the blade. He goes down.
What is going on right now? eUnited are throwing themselves into this and giving it away. Cruz goes in for a Daredevil Dragon Blade, which just doesn't pan out. Unfix gets AKM from the high ground, but there's no one on the low. He's got to commit to this himself, and he drops down. Rogue are on the stretch now. 35 seconds to finish the map. They are so close, and eUnited have 0 ultimates to stop them.
An Earth Shatter with nothing to stop it. A self-destruct with only a bubble and a Shark. They're going to have to give up position if these ultimates come down. And the gold finish line is right there. Nico, he's looking for that opportunity. He's looking for that self-destruct. He's trying to look in different directions to find out where exactly eUnited are set up. And Shark has to be the man to stay on the payload, but he has no way of stopping Nox.
Self-destruct is definitely up the sleeve for Nico here. He's going to be looking for the best opportunity to use it. eUnited, it's the Earth Shatter. He's done it. Nox lays it down. He brings the hammer through, and eUnited get completely crumpled at the knees. But Valutaja comes back in. The double pulse pop kill to try and keep things going. But this might not be quite enough. The sound barrier for Rogue's going to keep them going, but Boombox gets the D-suit. No! Surely not. Rogue have done it. They've made it to the point. They've finished it. The grand final for the second time around is won by Rogue. Just stuck over in the final seconds. eUnited were not there to stop it at that. It's heartbreaking. What a close finish to this match. And the Earthshatter from Nox was the catalyst.
Rogue don't even look happy. They don't even look happy with that. They just won the entire tournament, but eUnited pushed them to the brink. They almost won the bottom. They almost pushed to that 5th and final map. But there you go. I think eUnited can come out with their heads held high. They made that one hell of a grand finals. There was no 3-0 today.
Man, that was intense. The switch as well, to bring that Reinhardt out just for the shock and awe. just to break some ground, so to speak, Rogue is going to come over and join us here. All of them, of course, because it wouldn't be a grand finals couch without it. So we can fit a couple in the middle. The rest of you are going to have to sit on the outside. Behave yourself just for a little bit longer. Thank you. Right. Okay. Yeah, you can sit on. Well, yeah, if you want. Yeah, you can come on this corner as well. That's fine. There's space here. Sorry, bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try to set this up. You've all got microphones. Yeah, sit. Come sit.
Why is
there we go.
Why? Don't bounce.
Damn.
Bounce.
Okay.
Why
all right.
Are you so warm?
Jason, for a moment.
All right. Let's go.
What a game, gentlemen. That was far closer than perhaps maybe even you guys expected there. You guys obviously came out of the gates very strong against these guys earlier on, but it seems like, I'll talk to you, Dylan, first. There were a few curveballs that were thrown your way in this series. You can hold that as well if you want. A bit of a different showing from eUnited this time.
Yeah, they literally play better this series than they played last series. We also did a lot of mistakes, but it was a very close game and we're happy that we won it. And
soon as well, I do have to address you. A lot of those fights as well, when you were creating the opportunity to push forward, you were stalling so well with that pulse bomb on Numbani. Almost every time you had a pulse bomb, you were getting that important kill there. I mean, for you, you have a very small window to actually achieve those kills. That's very, very difficult to do. What's the thinking when you try and set up for that? How are you managing to do this on your own? Because so often, you're the one that sort of stops the fight.
It depends. It depends if they are tanked or something like that. But most important is to get a kill. So, for example, if the Winston is mid-life, it's a good kill because I can one-shot him.
Yep.
All right, Unko, actually, I want to talk to you in particular about this because Boombox played one hell of a game on Zenyatta. I just want to get your opinions on him as a player and how hard he actually pushed you in that match.
Well, honestly, he's in their back lane. I mean, my back lane, I don't know if I don't know.
Oh, Nox, come on. We saw many times.
You should ask the flanker.
That question was as bad as your nose.
So I should ask you that then because you died to him quite a few times.
Yeah, but yeah, to be honest, this game was harder for me. I feel like I have really bad game when they switch to Diva. They're focusing me so hard when I just rush in. So yeah, I think they have a better defense than the last time, to be honest. They have good defense there.
What a stupid answer, Nox. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about Hanamura a little bit there as well. You guys definitely put to the test this time. Super close game. What was different this time from what you're seeing from eUnited? Do you think it was a mistake that you guys made that sort of lost you that game?
I think we are just plain retarded. That's just the story of it. Because we actually are playing that composition just because it works against the triple tank competition. And we just kept it and never adapted to the dive composition. And it doesn't work that way with the Anagen at the spawn. So yeah, that's our mistake there, I guess.
Gentlemen, any final comments as well? Anything coming up next for you guys? What is next for you? Are we going to have some holidays going on? Are you going to take a break? Or are you straight back into the scrims?
I think we're going to go for a couple of weeks vacation actually because the last few months has been crazy for us with the move, all the tournaments, Apex as well. So I think it's time for a break for us.
I mean, obviously you guys sort of said it wasn't an easy tournament for you to come through. Obviously a lot of strain coming across from Korea. It was long. You guys managed to fight your way through. Do you think there are any sort of lessons you learned at this tournament? Do you think there are anything that maybe surprised you from the teams you went up against?
Not really. That's going to sound cocky, but that was our tournament to lose, I think. We came here as favorite and...
No doubt about it.
Was that the team you wanted to beat in the grand finals, eUnited? Or were you looking to maybe have someone else? Because
we kind of expected to play eUnited, yes.
Just behind you guys.
Maybe Cloud9 as well. I was expecting maybe Cloud9 to beat eUnited.
Just behind you guys is actually the thing you've been playing for. So, I mean, Soon's actually in front of it. You can see that's the trophy that you guys won. If Sideshow or Bren is back there, if you can get off his shoulders for a second. And I'll have you...
I'm not.
Yeah. Sideshow, can you come and grab the trophy? Because he won it. You guys didn't.
Oh.
No, of course. Obviously, I present this to you guys, so please, guys, can I have another round of applause for your TakeOver 2 champions? It's Rogue. It's a bit hard to present it to you when it's standing behind me, so I had to sort of think quickly about that one. Guys, just a second as well, just a second before we wrap things up here. A year ago, we came here with a lot of hope in our hearts that Overwatch would be something that changed all of our lives. A year later, it's quite clear to see that that is the case. We were just a group of ragtag guys coming together, hoping to find friends and find fortune. And we've had so much more than that. And you guys at home as well have been part of us as we've grown together. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thank you so much to Rogue, of course, and all the teams that competed. And thank you to you guys at home for supporting Overwatch. The future as bright. And as you know, as always, the world could always use more heroes. We'll see you next time for the TakeOver 3. Thank you for joining us.
In your empty hotel, I'll make it right when you're going through hell. I'll be the call when there's no one to tell. Make you light up, light up. I'ma be there. I'ma be there. I'ma be there. I'ma be there. When life hits you hard like a train wreck, don't you believe it'll break you? I'ma be there. I'ma be there.
He's going to be buying a lot of time for his team. The overtime ticking over, but he's also very weak, and he will fall in the end. Zephyr puts an end to him. Still, as we mentioned before, is very passive as well. He finds it onto Logics.
I'ma be there. I'ma be there. I'ma be there. I'ma be there. When life hits you hard like a train wreck, don't you believe it'll break you? I'ma be there. I'ma be there.
He's been committed to Nanoblade as well. Fincy falls back on. He jumps over. He's going to get beat down by Surefall. Now trying to take the fight against him.
Ty, Adam and Surefall together. Oh, wow. That flick with the...
nothing lasts forever, and we both know hearts can change. And it's hard to hold a candle in a cold room when the rain.
We've been through this such a long, long time, just trying to kill the pain. But love is always come and love is always gone, and no one's really sure who's letting go today. Walking away, walking away. If we could take the time to lay it on the line, I could rest my head just knowing that you are mine. Oh my, oh my, my, mine.
So if we want to love me, find out where I'm from.
Do you need some time on your own? Do you need some time all alone? Everybody needs some time on their own. Don't you know you need some time all alone?
Now it's hard to keep an open heart when even friends seem out to harm you. But if you could